Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time out zone you're in out there. Welcome to El Tol Cockerel, my first ever members show. Did it today because I knew that busy week coming up. Season starts next week, and I knew that we'd have stuff to talk about because it's obvious that we were playing a friendly yesterday, which we'll get on to. We've had a signing come in, we've had a signing go out. I don't know what's happened today because I haven't quite looked. But I hope that each and every one of you is well today, wherever you may be. And the first person that we have on the show today, it's his evening already, is Tigaro. Hi, Tigaro. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's Sunday. Glad to be here with you guys. For those that don't know, Tigaro is a big-time supporter of the channel. Quite often plays a few games with a few other Aussies as well, with David Shear and Peter Kagayas. Them three are definitely the ones that are propping up this show and this channel. So,
Mate, you've been too kind. Dave's the Aussie Spurs man. I think he's propping up half the community at the moment. I don't know, old money bags. I'm just doing my part, mate. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be a member. I really enjoy the content, and hence why I'm here.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say, and I'm happy that you're here as well. And just as I say that, we've got another member that's just come. Good afternoon, AJ.
Big up, my man. How you doing? Tigaro, how you doing?
AJ, very well, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good.
Fantastic. So the two of you, I know a lot of. I've been very quiet because obviously I've been away. I've been very quiet, but I have seen a lot of chat, that's been going on in the groups that I'm involved in. I'll be honest, I've not responded back to near enough anything. I've not bitten. I've just let it go because I thought to myself, if I let it go, we can just talk about it on the show today. So, but AJ, you've been one of the mainstays in the chat. I've been watching your comments.
I like to have an opinion, as does everyone, but unlike some people, I don't get irate if somebody disagrees. That's the whole point of having groups and a forum to talk, discuss, and everybody give their opinion. That's the whole point of being involved in the community, right? So yeah, I love it.
So there's a few of you that are currently watching now that are also members. If you're members, I did put the link out on the community page, hence how Tigaro and AJ got here. And the only people that can see that on the community page are members, because they directly would have gone out to yourselves. So just want to say hello to people before we kick off. Tigaro was here before me, nice and early and on time. He says, good evening, morning all. Shemtam, good morning, Mr. Jose. I hope you're well today. I am Shemtam. I hope you are well today too, sir. And then you've got Scott Colliver says, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Destiny 5 is saying hello. Dragons D Nuts says hello. Just a Harmless Potato says, big up everyone and big up Jose and yourself, Just a Harmless Potato. I hope you are well. Graham, good afternoon, mate. Says, good morning, Jose, my friend. All in the chat. Come on, you Spurs. John Michael is here. Afternoon, Jose, in chat. And then there's a few of you. I know we've got Ronnie is saying hello. Right. So, people, everyone that's in the chat, you're all members as well, which doesn't surprise me because, as I said, the three mainstay Australians have made you all members. So, you're more than welcome to come on. Right, Tiger, I'm going to start with you. Did you watch yesterday's game?
Mate, unfortunately, no, I didn't. I got some clips, highlights off YouTube. 2:30 in the morning was a bit of a stretch for me. I'm getting a bit older, so 9 o'clock's nearing my limit. Probably by 11 o'clock, I'll be dropping Z. So unfortunately, I didn't see the game. Did see the highlights. Look pretty bang average in that first half, from what I saw. But again, the kids came on and probably put some of our first players to shame. But again, I'll be guided by you guys who potentially saw the game live. I'll be dictated to by you guys as to exactly what occurred.
Okay. AJ?
Yeah, of course I watched it. We started very quickly, very explosive start. We caught Bayern cold. Like, I don't think they, off the back of the last game, I don't think they quite expected us to start so quickly. And for the first 10, 15 minutes, we looked good. We looked quick. We looked sharp. Our pressing was decent, and we were giving them problems. But we then started allowing them to play their way into the game. They're a quality team. I don't understand. There are some people that are having meltdowns about it, but A, it's a pre-season game, and B, they're a top quality side. Their A team, their B team, quality all the way through, and they gave us a lesson when it came to us dropping off and making silly mistakes. They punished them as the top sides do, and in the 25, 35 minutes towards the end of the first half, their ability shone through. Yeah, they showed why they are one of the better teams out there, one of the European elite, because their passing was crisp. They were literally 3 or 4 passes. They were attacking. They were getting a shot off, committing men forwards, very rarely giving the ball away. So the first half started well, then tailed off pretty significantly. But in that second half, yet again, as has been the story all pre-season, the youth players get on, and you can't not be encouraged by watching them. You can't not be thinking to yourself, actually, these guys could really make a claim for a place in the team this season, because Mikey Moore wasn't so involved in the second half as he has been in other games, but still constantly showing for the ball, constantly wanting it in tight spaces. As soon as he's getting the ball, he's keeping his width, he's driving, he's trying to get at his man, take his man on and beat him. Bergvall, again, it was a bit worrying to see him kind of go down on his knees. That was a little bit concerning, but he seemed to be okay. Seeing him dictate the play the way he does, he doesn't care who the opponents are. He is not fazed by it. Yes, he will give the ball away. Yes, there will be mistakes, but he's an 18-year-old lad, and he's gone from the Swedish league, no disrespect, but he's gone from the Swedish league to the Premier League. That's the transition. There's been no intermediary. It's night and day, and he is standing out like a shining beacon among a lot of the other players he's playing against. And Archie Gray, that boy has got such good feet. Yes, the end product needs to be there, but again, he's a young lad. He is a young lad. The feet, he's so tidy, looking to get the ball, drive forwards, play forwards. That you can't teach. The skill that he has with his feet, you can't really teach that. You've either got it or you haven't. You can make someone's fitness better. You can practice with your ball control and your shooting. All of that you can practice. But if you have not got that natural ability to be able to juggle the ball past 2-3 people, you can't learn that. So for me, I think the future is exceedingly bright.
So I hear what you're saying, and I'll come on to a few points in a second. But you've got Jay Ashraf's here, another member. Members, you're all more than welcome. Come on, the link is in the community page. It says, hi, Jose and panel, not looking forward to this season. John Michael says, I was at the game yesterday. To be honest, same old thing, weak on set pieces and wide open. Don't matter who we sign, Ange has to change his tactics, or it's going to be a very hard season. Graham says, would come on, Jose, but I have a face for radio and an accent no one would understand. Mate, we've all got different accents and different twangs, and that's what makes the world go round. You're more than welcome to come on still. Just a Harmless Potato says, we were good in the first 10 minutes of both halves. Just a Harmless Potato says, their pressing is very good. Our pressing is not yet at the level to contain Bayern, which then leaves gaps in the midfield. Graham says, geez, 1 month already. I'm getting old fast. Gabriel 1, big up, Jose. you and your esteemed guests. Thank you very much, Gabriel. Nice to see you here. Just I was say, it just says Bergvall for Madison. Just saying this. AJ, you saw the highlights.
No, I watched the game.
Sorry, Tigaro. My fault. Sorry, Tigaro. You watched the highlights.
I did, yeah.
From what AJ has said, what did you glean from the highlights you watched?
Pretty much what AJ said. I saw Kulu's goal in the first minute, and I thought, well, it's a first-minute goal. Like, you know, the sun shines on everybody's backside sometimes. So I didn't really take much gleam into that. And then there were obviously the next 10, 15 minutes I didn't get to see, other than sort of, like AJ said, Bayern started their pressing game, seemed to sort of dominate us a bit. And they're a Champions League team. Like, they're one of the best teams in Europe. Like, let's not kid ourselves. And then from there, again, second half, the kids, you know, Bergvall showed again what he just looks different. We've just got to keep him away from choking hazards. I had a chuckle in the morning. Apparently, he went down because he was choking on some chewing gum. I don't know if someone can confirm that. That was probably the funniest thing I heard in the last 24 hours. It was just like, let's just keep Bergvall from eating chewing gum, and I think we'll be better with him. And as for Archie Gray, well, Archie Gray's class. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw the FA Cup game last year between Leeds and Chelsea.
Yeah,
he was the best player on the park by a distance. Like, he was a freak. Like, that kid is going to be something. I don't want to put pressure on him. Same with Mikey Moore, Will Lancashire, etc. All these kids coming through. Let's not, again, as people said, not put too much pressure on them, but my God, we're building to something. We really are. And I know, pardon me, I haven't got the rundown, but there's one Solanke who may just make us very impressive. I'm like I said to you, Jose, I'm very optimistic.
Right. Interesting. So Gabriel says 3 stories which excite me: 1, Kulu's renaissance; 2, Spence redemption arc; and 3, Bergvall, superstar in the making, the Bjorn Borg of football. Shemtam says, been more than a season with him now, and I'm still waiting to see this Ange ball that we all keep talking about. Johnny Bethnal Green says, hola Jose, got you on outside, getting ready for my road trip to Bouillon, Lourdes and the Basque Country. Lourdes is lovely, and the Basque Country is as well. I've driven through it. I've not stopped in any of the cities, but I've driven through the Basque Country, and it is lovely. And the coast in the Basque Country is impressive as well. So I wish you all the best on your road trip, mate. Stay safe and healthy, and drive carefully, because if you're going by car, which I presume you are because you're outside getting ready, the motorways in France are absolutely mental, and it's a jungle, and it's a free for all on the motorways out there. So be very, very careful. Graham says the 3 conceded were terrible individual errors. The 2 scored were sublime. John Michael says Kane refused to lift the trophy at the end of the game. Got big respect from the fans. We'll come to that. And Shemtan says still looks more like Ozzy Ardila's ball playing 2-5-3 formation, and it doesn't work. Shemtan, I've just got to say to you, the Ardila's system was 4-0-6. We play with 4 defenders, no midfielders, and 6 attackers. So we're not quite there yet on the Ozzy Ardila's mould at the moment, Shemtan. So for me, I'm going to ask the question, and I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to say, should we be worried? This is pre-season, right? So everyone needs to, hopefully you all understand this is pre-season, and in pre-season it's time to get your fitness levels up, time to do things, get people minutes in the legs to see who's at what stage and who can do what. It's also a time where you're planning for the season, so I'm sure that a lot of planning will be going on behind the scenes, and Tottenham will be deciding on who gets kept in and around the first team, who goes out on loan, and from the loans that go out, are they going to go League 2, League 1 champ? Are they going to go foreign league? Are they going to go to the Premiership? So pathways can now be decided in that. and then also as well, some of the players that you need to that you don't wish to have with you for next season will probably be moved on at a pace now, accelerated. You probably at this stage probably accept anything for anyone at the moment just to get them out the door. And then it's also an opportunity as well for you now to think to yourself, well, we've done our scouting. We now definitely need players in certain areas, and you go out and get these players before the end of the transfer window. I'm not too sure how many we're going to try and get before the game against Leicester tomorrow week, but the other thing is, when I'm saying should we be worried, I watched the game yesterday, and I've watched every game pre-season, and my thoughts are, and they're quite in some respects they're wrong. They don't sound right, and my thoughts are that the first team brigade, all right, is there an element that they've been there, seen it, done it in pre-season, so they know how much they've got to give of themselves in order to be fit for the start of the season? And with the youngsters, because they've probably not gone through a pre-season, they're all going hell for leather to impress because they want to stay in and around and amongst it all. Am I way off the mark, or should we be worried?
I think I get it. I think there's some credence to what you're saying, but I think with the first team, a lot of it, to me, looks like complacency. That we're the senior players. Not that they're deliberately hot-farsing it, but do you know what I mean? It's almost taken for granted that they're going to get minutes, they're going to start, their place is nailed on. These youngsters are fighting to let's have it right. The youngsters have to put the effort in. They have to turn heads. They have to be noticed, because realistically, you're not going to start a group of youngsters over seasoned professionals, players that have played in the Premier League week in, week out for years. You're not, that's not going to happen. So to get into that conversation, these youngsters are going to have to take every game by the horns. They're going to have to show what they can do every time they receive the ball. So yeah, I do see what you're saying, but this pre-season, I think you've got to start as you mean to go on. Yeah, you can't decide to phone it in and take your foot off the gas and not really put the effort in, and then, oh, here we go, bang, season starts. You've got to be in the right mentality, the right mindset to hit the ground running. The whistle goes, first game of the season, bang, I'm on it, 100 mile an hour, let's go. And if your pre-season mindset has been, oh yeah, well, let's see what we can do, it just doesn't translate well for me.
I agree.
So what are your thoughts, Sagara?
Yeah, I agree completely with what AJ said. If there are senior players, and I think we've seen it through Matta's performance, it's like he's either he's unfit or he's just, again, potentially complacent. I'll reserve myself. That's a dangerous sort of precedent to set for yourself. And it's dangerous for us as a club. You can't rest on your laurels in this league. You've got to be at your best, and it's something that, again, I don't know Ange personally. I have met Ange a very long time ago, but just again, I'm going to reach into the Aussie mentality, because we are perennial underdogs. We're your little brother. We literally are. Yeah. The Englishman's little brother. We've got a massive chip on our shoulder. Chips on both shoulders, some will say. We don't want to lose. We will fight tooth and nail. And as you said at the Olympics at the moment, I think we're sitting third on the medal tally. So we're belting the crap out of Great Britain. Come on, you Aussies. He won't tolerate that. You put in or you get out. Simple as that. So if Matters, I'm not confident that Matters will start the first game. Because if Ange gets that inclination in gameplay or in training that he's not putting in 100%, he won't play him. It's going to be interesting. I'll put it that way. But I agree with what AJ said. There's a little whiff of complacency, and I think that's why we're seeing that Bergvall just is looking much better on the pitch. I don't know. Again, I'll put it back on you guys. It just, something's off with that first team. Something's not sitting quite right with me.
Yeah, so like I said, for me, and rightly or wrongly, I said it might sound right or wrong. For me, as a senior player, when I used to play football in pre-season, you knew you were only going to play one half, or if you knew you were only going to play one half anyway, you'd go out and you'd get your minutes in your legs and you'd try, whether you try to build up your fitness. But there were times that if you had to go for a sprint for the ball on a bloody warm day, because pre-season usually happens when it's warm over in this country, believe it or not. But yeah, if going for a sprint for a ball.
12 degrees is warm.
Sorry?
12 degrees is warm.
No, I said this country.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. 12 degrees. It'd be warm for you guys over there, wouldn't it? 12?
Nah, but pre-season's more than 12, mate.
Just having a dig at you.
I know. But that's what I said. You what? Because if you're going for that final, for that sprint, someone plays the ball down the line, and you've got to run onto it for that final sprint. You used to think to yourself, right, am I going to go 3/4 pace rather than go full pelt at it? Knowing the season starts in a week, 2 weeks time, and that's where I'm coming from. I'm just thinking to myself, some of the senior players are just playing themselves and just playing within themselves to try and be fit for the start of the season, where the youngsters who have not been through pre-seasons before, not like this, they've not had this kind of exposure in pre-seasons before, are going hell for leather. And by that, yesterday we didn't see, the only youngsters we saw yesterday were Gray, Bergvall, and Mikey Moore and Lancashire. So we didn't get to see Devine, we didn't get to see Donnelly and players of that that ilk. But yeah, the youngsters seem to, they're going for it, and they seem to be putting a lot of effort in. We'll go. I'm going to go to. Let me just catch up with the chat, and then we're going to go to the goals that were scored, because there were some things that there appeared yesterday that have appeared in the past. In my eyes, have appeared in the past. I'm not having a dig at the team, but definitely have appeared in the past, and we'll discuss them. Gabriel says youngsters are shining light and gives me hope for the future. Graham says the simple answer is no to the question that was posed, but I'm an optimist. Just a harmless potato is this pre-season is an improvement on last season's, but I don't believe playing Bayern twice within a week is that clever. Shemtam says, to answer the question, worried? Question, hell yes. John Michael, who's at the game, says, yes, Jose, pre-season or nothing has changed in terms of tactics. Teams found us out last season. What does that tell you? Needs to tweak his tactics. Just a harmless potato says, last game before the season starts should be against a lower tier local team, in my opinion, to build up some winning momentum. We now go into the season on a losing streak. Mark Cook, good morning. Good afternoon. Mark says, big up Jose in the chat. Mark, you're a member as well. The members link has been put out in the community page for members only to view that, and any member is more than welcome to come on to the show. Graham says, I think the last 2 games have confirmed that the so-called senior players are in danger of becoming bench fillers. Good afternoon, Dan. The Hotspur Hood says, Lucas Bergvall has looked pretty sharp. Must admit, he impressed me. Gray, however, 40 million. He don't look ready for the Premiership. He got absolutely destroyed yesterday. Just a harmless potato. Hold on, we'll come to that. Hold on. Madders, just honest potato says, Madders is in a tricky situation. First season at a new club. Then he lost his spot in the England squad. I think that has really bothered him. Gabriel 1 says, Madders and Biss go missing too much. You've got John Michael says, Madders will start against Leicester, but doesn't deserve to. Gabriel 1, Madders starts because Leicester's homecoming, but if he maintains current form, Bergvall will start the 2nd to 3rd game. Dan says, problem with Maddison is he has no space as a 10, whereas jams 3 to 5 other players in that 10 area. Poor tactics. Ange needs to read this, adapt. Gabriel 1 says, fine line between stubbornness and silliness. R.E. the tactics. AJ, you was going to say something.
Yeah, just in regards to, now I've seen both of Hotspur Hood's comments now. The second one about Maddison being crowded out because of people occupying his position, I get that. I've said that myself. I think if you're a player that's used to having free roam, you're used to being able to pick up the ball and and create, drift, play players in. If you've got your two fullbacks that are inverted and they're coming in, occupying that same space, your game is hampered. What you can do, what you can offer, is restricted to a degree. So I agree with that. I've said it myself. I understand where he's coming from. But the whole Archie Gray, is he ready yet? We'll have to wait and see. He's impressed, but also he is a little bit sloppy, but he's a young lad. However, the comment where he said he got completely destroyed yesterday, absolutely destroyed, is absolute. I can't believe he typed that. Yes, a couple of his passes, when he was juggling the ball past 2 or 3 Bayern players at a time that had crowded him, his footwork, the maneuverability, the agility to take that ball in a crowded space and juggle the ball past 2 or 3 and then get your team heading forwards. He did that multiple occasions. Yes, there were incidents where he did that and then his final ball wasn't great. He'd either overhit a pass to his teammate or he'd pass directly to a Bayern player who was coming into space. I get that. I understand there. But if you're going to play that way, if you're going to be that sort of player and you're going to take risks with the ball, sometimes you're going to get caught out. But he didn't get absolutely destroyed. That is, I can't believe he said that. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm alone in thinking that. If I'm alone, then that's just my opinion. But not for me.
Good afternoon, Adrian. It says, good afternoon, Jose the panel. Just a reminder that this is a members show, so anyone that's a member can come onto the show. The link is in the community page. All the members would all have been sent the link. It's exactly where Tigaro found it and AJ. So anyone that's wishing to come on, you're more than welcome to do so. The link is in the community page.
And further to that, Terry, I actually got my link through your verified email account. You'll get sent an email, so check back through your emails, and there'll be a StreamYard. God, my God, how's my English going? Through your StreamYard link, through your email. So just go back through your inbox, and should be something there if you're interested.
Your English is not too bad. You can tell it's your second language. Just keep speaking Australian.
Yeah, mate, no worries, Kōbe. Happy days. You might roll on it.
You got Graham says Gray was excellent. Odd instance of a poor pass, but then at least he tried to win it straight back. And DJ Samuel says, good afternoon. Come on, you Spurs. My next banner that I had, right, is Vicario confused. So yesterday, I believe it's their first goal. Saw it in the previous game against Bayern. Saw it again yesterday. Throughout pre-season, I think Vicario, obviously the defense don't help him out either, but Vicario has looked to me a bit undercooked in pre-season. And Brandon Austin, for me, has looked the better goalkeeper in pre-season. And I said this a couple of games ago. Yesterday, he was playing out from the back. And I know we play out from the back and that. But some of the pass that led to their goal, surely that was well under hit. Or it's the wrong pass to make to someone that's on pressure, who's pressured. I mean, after he did that, he didn't do it again. When the ball was played and the people were marked on the high press, what he did is he then dropped the ball over the top into vacated areas, into space for the players to come to. But he did this against Bayern in the first game as well, and then rectified it after the goal had gone in. So he's rectifying his mistakes, but after we've conceded the goal. So what's happened with Vicario? Anyone got any ideas or thoughts?
Yeah, mate, with Vicario, look, let's be honest, since that Sheffield United game, he hasn't had any game time. He went to the Euros with Italy and didn't play. You know, he might have been doing some training and stuff, but he just looks really, really rusty. And it's been 2 games in a row where he's given up an end. He did it last week and he did it again this week. You know, and I'm confused too, because is Vicario confussed? I'm confussed. But yeah, he looks a little bit, just a little bit rusty. You know, give him time. He is a good player. He'll come good.
Adrian, how are you, sir? I don't know whether you heard that. I was talking about Vicario.
Oh, I'm fine and all that. Oh, Vicario, what about yesterday's game?
Well,
Yeah,
what I'm saying is all pre-season, he's looked a bit. He's not looked his normal self.
I think his decision making has been poor at times, hasn't it? I mean, when it comes to distribution, I mean, he's passed out some what I would call some serious balls where he puts players into pressure, and it's actually led to a couple of goals. One, you know, so during the season, so he's got to cut that out. I mean, like, I know Ange doesn't like players to just hoof the ball upfield, but you're a goalkeeper, you know. I mean, like, that's allowed. I mean, you're under pressure. You're allowed to do whatever you want, really, as a goalkeeper. And at times, I just think, hoof it. I know we want to play out the back. I get that, and I get the fact that fans are nervous when we play out the back, right? But it's all about possession. If you just keep hoofing it rather than playing out the back, you're giving the opposition the chance to to get the ball instead of you. So, like, keeping possession, you keep the ball, didn't you? That's logical. But Vicario, yeah, he's a look. Yeah, no one's going to throw Vicario on the bus for a couple of mistakes in pre-season, right? Even last season, he took some stick for his defending at set pieces, not being physical enough and all that. I think they've worked. I think Rob Birch, the goalkeeping coach, has worked on him a bit, and they look to have improved that aspect of his game the last two games. But his distribution at times, I mean, some of these balls to players, I mean, like, what is the player supposed to expect when they receive the ball in such awkward situations? So I'll leave it there, Jose, and come back to you.
Yeah, but yesterday, it seems to be that after he's made the mistake, though, Adrian, he doesn't make that same mistake again, right? Where he's trying to pass it to the midfielder that's come really deep for the ball. And what he then does, because everyone's marked on the press, he then drops the ball. He doesn't punt it upfield. He drops it in the half space between the right back and the left winger. The left or right back and left or right winger. And the reason because of that is because the 3 8s or whatever you want to call them have all been drawn in. So he has to drop it into the space. So then the wide players then come and pick the ball up. But he seems to do this perfectly fine, but only after he's made a mistake.
And what is noticeable as well is the fact when he first come, when he was at Brentford and he'd throw the ball to the halfway line, that game we played up there, when Romero had to go off. And in other games, in his first games that he came to the club, he was distributing the ball a lot quicker than he's doing now. And we liked that because Reece used to diver on the ball, didn't he? He'd walk around, have a Sunday stroll, walk around his penalty area, and then he'd get rid of the ball and the opposition are all set and get ready to defend. And he also needs to distribute the ball quicker, Jose. He needs to distribute the ball quicker than he's doing, even if it's the only person available, you know, but distribute the ball quicker.
Right. Okay. So you've got Just a Harmless Potato says, sorry, she's not coming up. Yeah. My problem with Madders is that Bergwijn just looks better in that position. He drops deeper, wins the ball back in crucial positions. Madders has to adapt his game to fit Ange's system. Danny says, Gray lost the ball 9 to 10 times. Got robbed multiple. Poor passing how many times? Premiership, you can't do this. Should lose the ball 3 times. He got destroyed. DJ Samuel says, Vicario did the same thing last week as well. John Michael is saying Bissouma as a 6 is a big issue. He's not a 6, keeps hold of the ball, trying too much, and we get caught out a lot. Destiny 5 is saying that Vicario reminded him of De Gea at the moment. Just a Harmless Spud says, to be fair, 40 million is heavy payback, and Gray has been showing much of it for it so far. But he's a young guy and only been here 2 weeks. If you'd ask me, I'd rather spend it on a Premiership ready CFM or CDM, sorry, you meant to say. And then you've got Mr. David Shear. David, hello, sir. I did start the show off by saying the 3 famous Australians that prop up are Tigaro, yourself, and Peter Kagayas. And it is a member show, so everyone would have been sent the link out. who's a member, and whoever's a member is more than welcome to come on. That includes you, Mr. Shear. But nice to see you here anyway. I've saved a question that John Michaels just asked. Jay Ashraf says, doesn't help when he has a makeshift defence in front of him. It wasn't a defender, he was trying to pass the ball, he was a midfielder. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Spurs Yusuf Graham says, surely better at times to hoof it long if no pass on, as better to lose the ball 3 or 4 times up the pitch instead of the edge of your box. Gabriel One says, conundrum, set piece defending, why doesn't Ange fix this after a full year? And I think everyone is saying hello to each other. Right, the elephant in the room, 1 goal was conceded by Vicario, right? It was his fault. But then we saw 2 goals, right? Now, I'm going to say this honestly. I watched the game yesterday. I haven't played it back. I haven't watched any highlights. So I'm going on first impressions and first impressions only. The 2 goals that they scored, their second and third goal for me were 2 balls that were floated to the back post, and they had an overlap. So I think that I can't remember which way around, whether Sarr was marking 2 players for the first goal, or was it Kulu that was marking 2 players for the first goal? But either way, the people that got the header in, Sarr and Kulu were the nearest players, but then there was another player from Bayern beyond the player that attacked the ball. So therefore, something's amiss with the marking, because they had an overload. They had not even the person that got the ball, but they had a further person there as well. What are we doing?
Can I take this first?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
What are we doing?
Big up Adrian, by the way. Big up Adrian. Just quickly touching on Vicario, he worries me. He's a very good keeper. He's very agile. His ball distribution, he looks to get rid of the ball very quickly. He's a very good shot stopper, but he's easily rattled. He's not dominant in the air, and this is the second consecutive game where he's played a hospital ball that a keeper at this level should not be playing that ball. Like, you play it once, you rushed, whatever, but then you don't play that in the second. Do you know what I mean? You learn from that. You understand not to do that, and you go again. But with the set pieces, to me, it looked like, and I understand people have gone, oh, it's a makeshift defence. Yeah, granted, okay. It isn't the first or even second choice really defence. However, you still get drilled. You still know what you're meant to be doing from set pieces. You still know whether it's zonal or man for man. You know where you're marking, who you're marking. You've got to watch your runners. You understand what you're doing. To me, I don't think the set pieces have been coached properly. That's how it would appear. No one seems to know what they're doing. It's poor. It's an area we need to address, because we give away pointless free kicks in and around that area about 5, 6, 7 yards from the box, where you can float those into the back post. And if we're conceding 2 a game, that's we're going to have to score 3. We're going to have to score 2 just to be on level terms, and that's just from set pieces we're conceding. That's not from teams being able to play against us and create opportunity. So I think it's an area that needs to be addressed, and addressed quickly. You practice them. Everyone needs to know, absolutely on the button. Everyone needs to know what they're doing, who they're marking. You can't at this level defend set pieces like that and expect to still be in the game.
Yeah, well said. And big up AJ and Tigaro. We haven't met online before. Yeah, I want to throw another grenade into the mix here. Spence, right? When we're attacking, we break. He's great going forward, right? And I did the same critique on Porro, but my Porro attitude has changed because he's improved dramatically, right? But Spence, defensively on the left, he was picked to play on the left. If you've never played there before, and you're a fullback, at least you're a fullback. You should have some intelligent awareness to stay where you are. I mean, how many times was it? Did I see that Spence, every time Bayern broke, they'd fire a ball out to Gnabry, right, on their right, our left. Where was Spence? Nowhere to be seen. On the third Muller goal, on the third goal that Muller scored, right, where's Spence? He's standing like aimlessly in the left centre back position. Where's Decky? Well, Decky's had the intelligent awareness. He's come down. He's at left back. What's Spence doing? I mean, he is, and you can see there's a player in. He's got potential, but he really needs to improve his defensive side of his game. He really does. I mean, he looked good when he's on the ball going forward, and that always blinds fans. You know, it's like the term wing back. If wing back means you're absolved of defensive responsibilities, I don't want you in my team, right? Because firstly, you're in there to defend. I thought he was poor defensively. He can tackle and all that when he has to, but I just thought he was poor. And we never, like, why didn't we adjust to Gnabry getting the ball on their right, our left? We never adjust. If you look at the game and go, I mean, I haven't watched back. I just watched the game and glimpsed like a 5-minute highlight, right? Because, you know, I mean, why should you have to look? I go on first sight and what you see. I mean, I do. I mean, I realise others they don't want to make mistakes in what they say afterwards. You know, I get that. So they go and watch all the game in case they miss something valid, you know. But I thought Spence was a flaw in our side, you know. Having said that, I thought Dragusin looked quality. What was your thoughts on Spence, Jose?
Did you just say Dragusin looked quality?
Yeah, well, he made a couple of good tackles in the first half, didn't he? Like, you know, I mean, like
it's interesting. It's interesting because we always say that football is opinionated. We've all got different. We've all got opinions, and I have a totally different opinion on Dragusin to you. But sorry, we'll go to Tigaro. Tigaro, from what Adrian and AJ just said, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, a lot to take in there. In relation to Spence, I think he's getting a bit caught up in the inverted fullback thing. I think he's too, as Adrian said, he's going missing because he's looking to get forward too much. He's got to remember he's a left back. He's a defender. Just defend. That's your first priority. If you get the opportunity to go forward, then go forward. But your main sole priority is to defend that left side. In relation to Dragoo, had an exceptional Euros. Looked like a world beater. Again, he's going to struggle with sort of opportunities. He hasn't had a lot of game time. I think where Radu's going to help us is in the air, because I don't think that Mickey's super duper in relation to aerial. And when it comes to those set pieces, which I know ad nauseum we've all been saying that set pieces are an issue, and they are an issue, and I hope they get addressed. Radu's a big part in solving that, because I think he's very, very good in the air. Look, it's at this stage, it's just so hard because it is pre-season. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's coming. I think I said it to you, Jose, in the last round. Might have been on another channel where I said we're all mushrooms. We're kept in the dark and fed BS. Who saw the old Dom coming on, you know, one day's notice? Who saw the news about Skippy getting offered up with some cash for Neto until he went to Chelsea? So I think there's a lot of changes coming. Look, it's just, again, I'm just some random Spurs fan sitting here 17,000 kilometers away, just hoping for the best, and with a smile on my dial, we'll see what happens. But you know, I'm fairly confident on us coming good in the defence, us coming good at the set pieces. And in regards to Jed Spence, I just think Ange will give him a clip over the ear and go, mate, you're a defender. And he'll literally say like this, mate, you're a defender. Defence is your number one priority. When you get the chance to go forward, go forward. Until then, focus on your man, focus on covering your space. That'll be it. Done.
I was impressed with Skip when he came on. He gave us a bit of bite. Isn't it amazing? All this pre-season we've played, we've showed a lot more energy and bite in the second half when the young players have been brought on. And we have. Right? I mean, to me, I mean, I looked at it yesterday. I thought Skip, you doggy, Gray and Bergvall impressed me. I don't know the person talking about Gray. I mean, I don't know where he's coming from. And my man of the match obviously was Kulusevski, who's got 4 pre-seasons and 3 assists and 3 goals. Sorry, he's been our man of the pre-seasons, whether you like Decky or not, for whatever reason. I mean, like 3 goals and 4 assists, and he's touching front. And I was a bit disappointed when Ain said in his interview. I don't see it afterwards when I asked him, "Do you see Decky playing through the middle of the number 10?" Which is what a lot of fans want. I mean, I think he can play anywhere, right? He could play as an 8, he can play as an inverted fullback, he can play as a 10, a false number. I mean, like he's got so much quality, and he's got a football brain. He's got the IQ to get back when we're in danger and things like that, like when he was at left back yesterday, So that was all good. But I was disappointed with Ange because when he was interviewed and I was trying to pump him for more signings, which he sort of said, he didn't say yes in so many words, but, we're looking to bring at least another 1 or 2. He said, no, I really see Decky on the right. And then that got me thinking, because straight away, like, I zero on these things. Well, if you see Decky on the right and we got enough cover on the left wing, if you see Decky on the right and you've got Johnson out there, does that mean that you're only looking for a midfielder now, or a left back or a right back? Now, if you'd have said to me after yesterday's game, and I see a few podcasts out there, would I take Eze? Well, yeah, you take him every day of the week. Any Spurs fan would. But you'd get me thinking if you had then said, would you take a right winger, a quality right winger, and a left back over Eze? Then you'd have me and ahhing, because I'd be very tempted to, because we'd be filling more holes. And I'm not sure now, after seeing Bergvall and Donnelly, as well as Decky, in the 10 role, playmaker role, if we're that desperate for Eze. Jose, back to you.
Throw a few grenades in there and just walk away, Adrian.
Way to go, mate.
Jose, can I quickly just touch on something Adrian just said? Because I wanted to say it and I forgot about it earlier, but it's in relation to Kulu. Now, when Kulu joined us and he was on the right, he was brilliant. For his first 8-9 games, he was excellent. Then he got found out a bit. He does like to cut in, and it got repetitive. And instead of understanding that, okay, the player could probably be moved and adapted, you had a lot of fans ripping into him, saying that he's no good. Not that he's no good in that position, or that there were some fans that said that, but you had some fans screaming that he's terrible, he can't play football, doesn't know what he's doing. But even when he was predictable, he was ahead of the charts for ball carrying. He was the one. He was our outlet to get us up the pitch. When we were under the cosh, he was the outlet. He's strong. He's got an engine on him, and he offered us an outlet even when he was not playing well, even when he was terrible in that position. But as a 10, he's looked good. But in that false 9 position, I think he's been excellent. And I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm not saying he starts every game, but as an option, because no one knows he's an unknown quantity in that position. He's strong. His stamina is off the charts. He can shoot with his right. Yes, he's strong on his left, but in that position, in a false 9 for me, this pre-season, he is. I agree with Adrian. He's certainly been up there with one of our best performers, one of our outline performers, and I would like to see that. I don't want to see him out on the wing anymore because, yes, as an outlet, when we're under pressure, you pump the ball up to him. He is going to get you 20, 30, 40 yards further up the pitch and take that pressure off of you. However, are you going to do that game in, game out, time and time again? Or are you going to move him to that position where he can create, which he has been doing, and scoring goals? He's much more effective in that position for me.
I think there's not too much to worry about, and he's got such a football brain. Because if you play Decky and he's supposedly supposed to be an out-and-out right winger, you know he's not staying there. If you play him as a 10, you know he's not staying there. He's going to pop up everywhere like Bergvall does, you know what I mean? He's like a mole in your garden. He pops up everywhere. You know what I mean? So like he's not going to stay there. It's like it might look it on the sheet and people say, oh yeah, he's playing on a wide right, but you know he's going to play as an attacking midfielder and probably drift into the 10 role around the box, and you know he's going to drop back and help out. I haven't got an issue. I do struggle. I mean, I get when fans say they want to see more of Decky in his, in his debut season form, more of that. We all want to see that, which basically means more goals. If he had scored a few more goals, people wouldn't be moaning. But he got 8 last season, and Johnson only got 5 and 7 assists, and Werner got about 4 and missed about 400. You know what I mean? So like, I haven't got an issue with Decky at all. He's a squad player. He won't be going anywhere, even if he's got haters out there, which would be sad. But I mean, like, if he has, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be part of the squad. And we should stop talking about first 11 now. We should be talking about first 18.
Right, going to catch up with the chat, and then there's a couple I've got starred as well. I need to find out where we were. Danny says we take more chances in front of our own goal than they're putting more pressure on us, like and tells them to do. Graham says back post defending at set pieces needs attention. Arsenal done exactly the same way. Just a harmless potato says, and when we send him out on loan, we lose control over everyday training. Rather have Ange coach him to become the player he wants him to be. I think this is referring to Gray. John Michael says we have no clue when it comes to set pieces. Happened last season a lot, and it looks like more of the same. Brian Maguire says, good afternoon. Brian says, we don't have a qualified set piece coach. John Michael says, Ange's philosophy, pass. If we lose the ball, just win it back. Actually heard him say it. Great tactics in it, guys. John Michael also says, Spence is good going forward, but can't defend. Gabriel 1 is, I'm Ange in, but can't get my head around his comment that set pieces are not an issue. Scott Hyam is here saying big up to all Coys. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Scott. I hope you're well. John Michael says the 2 inverted fullbacks never work in the Premier League. He's put down. I think that it's further down. It says Premier League. Ronnie says sorry, Spence is not good enough for Tottenham. Ooh, okay, fair enough. Richard Cobberman, zonal marking still not addressed, so marking thin air doesn't help. By pre-season, this should have been addressed, but Ange says clueless megalomaniac. Joris, the Belgium Hotspur, says big up, Senor Jose and panel. Again, for the people, I did put a comment down, and I'll read it out in a minute. Gabriel 1 says, if we play like this, Newcastle and Arsenal will combine for 10 goals. Richard Cobberman says he won't. He will tell Spence to cover and smother at Madison's space, like always. Clueless manager. John Michael says Ange believes in 2 inverted fullbacks because it's worked for him in Scotland, Australia, Japan. Premier League is a completely different level, playing against world-class players. The Belgium Hotspur, Joris says, let's smash the likes. Yes, please, that would be good. Graham says Skip plays better when the tempo is quicker, in my opinion. Richard Cobberman says, I've stopped listening to Ange. Too much talk, no actual substance. Darren Fearon, I think Ange is missing a trick on Decky as a striker. Decky kept his form up in the last game. We beat Sheffield United. Just a harmless potato says, and if we have to start Spence, basically he's out of the club at left back against Leicester. Squad planning is a shambles. Ange has been forced to improvise on the left back position for 6 months now. John Michael says that the bookies have Eze 6-4 favourite as the next signing. We'll wait and see. Darren Fearon then said, that's our fan base for you. As soon as our players lose form, they are rubbish. They are not good enough. We have to sell them. John Michael says, if we sign Eze, all will be forgiven for this shit show transfer window. And then just reminding everyone, if you're a member, you would have received a members link by email or on the community page, and are welcome to come on to today's show. Graham says, listening to Ange, I took what he was seeing Decky more as an attacking midfielder, but can do a job on the right. All open to interpretation, I guess. John Michael says that Newcastle are sniffing around for Decky. Ange ball, big up, lads, and a special big up and thanks to Jose for the free membership. Thanks, pal. Come on, you Spurs. Angeball, the free membership would have come to you from either the person in the top right-hand corner, Tigaro, who's sitting next to me, because he gave out some the other day. It would have come from it's the Australian mafia. It's Tigaro, David Shear, or Peter Kagayas, who you would have got your membership from. Because last week they went at each other and they sent the memberships out. So it's one of them three. I don't keep track on each and who got what. I can only do it live on the show. So it would have been one of them three. So you'd have to thank one of the three Australian boys. Daniel Sandoval says, big up Familia, come on you Spurs. Joris is saying, my midfield starters against Leicester are Bentancur, Decky and Bergvall. Eamon Correa says, Ange says there's no issue with set-piece defending. I'm concerned we will be in trouble again next season. Vic better be more inclined to go long for Dom from now on. Just the harmless potato says, I would have even tried Kulu at left back or left wing back. And just to finalise the chat, it says, just the harmless potato says, he lacks speed, but VDV could make up for it on the left-hand side as he's a very intelligent player. Good awareness and vision. I've started a couple. Right. What are your thoughts? And I'll start with you, Tigaro, because you said you watched the highlights. I've started this one. It says Kane refused to lift the trophy at the end of the game, and he got big respect from the fans. Did you see that in your highlights package?
I did 100%. I guess it just shows the character of the man. We loved him for a reason. He's a superstar. He's a good man, and I think that was just a class act. Harry's the man. He loves Spurs. The reason he went to Bayern is because he didn't want to go to any other English club. That's my genuine thought. Yeah, there was the Man City talk the year before, but I think, Bayern's a better fit for him, and all the best to him. Class act, just class. One thing I did want to mention, though, there was a comment in there about marking thin air. I don't know who it was from, but whoever that person who said that you can't go on marking thin air, did they hear the K-League drinks break where Ange was just dropping F-bombs at the players to say, mark your man on man. Like, what you think and what's reality is completely different. I think we've got to separate our opinions from actual reality. I know we're all, true of heart, all blood Spurs supporters, but let's just inject some reality into our thought process. I couldn't believe that comment.
And on
anyway,
very, very valid point. And on that, when Personnel mentioned we should need a set piece coach, we don't need a set piece coach, and I'll tell you why. Right, you've got Matty Wells is now head coach of the first team, and you've also got with him, you've got Milo Jedinak, who was with Australia and Ange before. Then you've got Ryan Mason. That's three. We brought in two more. You've got Nick Montgomery and Sergio Raimondo that we brought in. They were with Australian side Mariners where they won a title with Hibs, and they also coached the Scottish under-21s, right? That's five coaches with the first team. And you've got Rob Birch, who's the goalkeeping coach, right? Now, they will work on the training field. And as you rightly said, Tagara, I remember seeing him and shouting at the players in one of pass the ball forward. Don't look for the easy ball. Pass the ball forward. And you want to hear that, don't you? You really want to hear that rather than passing sideways and backwards. So I just wanted to answer the person's question on the coach. The coaches also need to get their act together on set pieces.
Right, AJ, on this thing about Kane refusing to lift the trophy, did you see all that?
Yeah, saw it. Thought it was nice sentiment. That's all really. I'm not going to kiss his backside about it. It's for me. I understand it, but when you move to a club, you should be dedicated to that club. That club that you are now playing for should be all you're focused on. I get it, but would he do that if we were against them in the Champions League final and they won? Would he not lift the Champions League trophy because it might upset? Nice sentiment, but that's all I've got to say about it.
Cool. Adrian?
Just a bit of good PR from Kane, isn't it? He's gone now. I mean, like, he'll always be remembered as a Spurs legend. But, you know, I had questions at the time of him even going to Bayern. We know they're a good side, and he will win trophies there probably this season. So, yeah, but yeah, it's just all that just PR really in front of the crowd. Obviously, he's not going to upset the crowd. He would have thought about that before, I would have thought. So, no, it was good of him to do it. It was nothing to me. It didn't mean anything to me, really.
Correct. And actually, can I just jump in? Let's be honest, that wasn't a trophy. Take that as you will.
If we'd have won, it would have been.
Now, the World Cup and the Audi Cup, they were trophies, right?
Well, do you know what? My story I probably never told. My first ever game watching Spurs was on SBS, as all we like to call the SEX before sleep here in Australia. SBS was Tottenham versus Nottingham Forest, the 1991 FA Cup final. That was my first ever game watching football. I fell in love with Paul Gascoigne for 17 minutes, and then I fell in love with Gary Lineker for the next, can't work out my math, 77 minutes plus. And that was solely in spite of a nemesis at my first year at high school named Stuart Rutley, and rest in peace, Stuart. But thank you for, he's not dead. No, I'm just in case. Yeah, that was my first ever game. So I was 1 for 1. Maybe I'm thinking I should have just given up there, given the last 33 years. Just should have given up there. Sorry, that was a bit of a random story, guys. Sorry, I've interrupted the flow of the show.
No, it's fine. It's good.
Back to you, Jose.
No, it's a good story. It's a good story because then people get to know who the members are, and you know it's nice to know why people support Tottenham and that. I think Spurs diehards do it on their show. At the end of their show, they ask people, "How did you become? What's your favourite goal? What's your favourite memory?" And that. So it's good to know this from people. People get to know you like that. So it's good.
Well, maybe I should do it at the end next time rather than just jumping in randomly and mucking up the flow of the show.
No, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. Right, we've got Steve D says, afternoon all. Good afternoon, Steve. I hope you're well. You've got morning gents from Mr. M and Wenger out. Good afternoon, Mr. M. I hope you are well. John Michael says, I actually started to believe that Ange is deluded. If he thinks there is no problems with the set pieces and tactics, he won't be around long. I hate to say it, but it's true. You've got, again, Tigaro on the common sense train from Graham. And David Shear is saying 100% to you, Tigaro.
Jesus, people agreeing with me. That's one in a row.
Yeah. Just Fusion. Good afternoon, mate. Good evening or good morning. Says Monday will be no problem. After that, supposedly 3 more in by the deadline. How many points thrown away by then? Self-sabotage doesn't become them. Just a harmless potato says, yeah, well, I just remember how Kulu slept on that second goal, the Muller header. Good awareness, lack of concentration. And you've got Joris, it's pre-season, mate. That's classy, in his opinion. Darren Fearon is saying, we still have fans talking about how to resign Harry Kane. Jim, from Just the Girl Who Loves Spurs. Big up, gents. Just been for a swim and sitting in the sun now. Just thought I would pop in and give you a like. The quad is on Tottenham till I die. Good, Jimmy. We got John Michael. Kane is a jinx. Bayern dominate Bundesliga every year. He turns up and they win nothing. Jinx. He probably wins something this season though, or the jinx is going to continue. I've got a theory about that, and I'm going to start that because I've got a theory about not about Kane, not about Kane. I've got a theory about Bayern last season. You've got a whole load of people saying hello to each other, and then you've got Kate, who loves Spurs, is also saying big up Jose. And then what happens? Eamon Korea says, what happens if we finish 7th next season? So the thing I was going to say about Kane, right? It's not about Kane, it's about Bayern. I think Bayern last season, I think they had issues. and the issues stemmed from the club, the board, and the manager. I think there was internal fighting between the board and the manager because some weird things happened last year. Now, I must admit, Dyer has not put a foot wrong since he's gone to Bayern, right? When he's been selected, he's not put a foot wrong. Looks a totally different player to what he did when he was at Tottenham. That's maybe because the fans kept shooting him down and didn't give him an opportunity, didn't give him a chance, and we're all negative about him. But when you go to Bayern Munich, and Tuchel, I think, was at it with the board, and I think the board made it clear very early on that they were going to replace him at the end of the season. To then bring Eric Dyer in, and then when he brought Eric Dyer in, he started making. He left Kim Min-jae out the side. He left Dayot Upamecano out the side, and he left Matthias de Ligt out the side. And the only person that got real game time from January to the end of the season at centre half was Eric Dyer. Now, I think that Tuchel made a lot of decisions, and they were to spite the board rather than the team and that. And I think it's not just in the centre back positions. Kane was a constant. He played every game, right? So every time he was fit, Kane would take the pitch. But it's the team around him kept changing because Tuchel kept changing the side because he was at it with the board. And I just think that with a settled manager this year in Company, right, and Company being in synergy with the board, I think you're going to see a different Bayern this season. That's just my thoughts on that. I just don't think it's a jinx. I just think there was issues behind the scenes between the board and the manager. So I think Kane has got an excellent chance next season with Company at the helm because they seem to be all in sync at the moment. I've got a couple more to ask you guys before we move on. Who we got here? We've got people saying hello to each other. Danny says, agreed. If Hans don't adapt, he will be gone soon. Give him the best team ever. It still won't work. Win a big league, he'll concede too many goals. You've got a lot of people saying hello to each other in here. So we'll leave that now. Try and get him back on again. It's the 5th attempt. Are you here, Mr. Shear?
How's the old platypus internet? Yeah, Mr. Shear.
Oh, it's giving me the shit. Good, thanks, mate.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
Lucky, wasn't it?
Yeah, did you watch the game yesterday?
Nah. I watched the highlights.
And what did you think? Tell us your opinion, David.
No, I just watched the highlights.
Yeah, and your opinion of the highlights. What did you think?
I thought our defence was piss poor. I'm getting an echo here, but
WA Wi-Fi, mate. Western Australian Wi-Fi. No good.
That's right.
Houston, we have a problem.
It'd be Geraldton we have a problem.
Give me your take on Dragusin. You obviously watched the game back. I want to hear it because I might have missed something and I might have had a brain.
Well, for me, it's not just been this game. I've kept rather quiet on the fact and on what my opinion is. And as I said, we've all got opinions, right? And I've kept really quiet on this. But I've not rated Dragusin since the first time I saw him play with Tottenham.
Okay. How's that? Is that better?
I just haven't rated him at all. I just think to myself, yeah, okay, in the air he's very good. It's positive in the air. I think that on the floor though, I think he's got a lot. He's still young. Please take what I say with a pinch of salt. He's still young though, right? So he's still got a lot to still learn. He's still young. But I don't think his distribution is the best. As for pace, I don't think he's got any at all. I think he gets ripped, and I think yesterday he was getting ripped as well. It's probably the system that we play that doesn't help. He played for Romania in the European Championships, and he was their last line of defence for Romania. I mean, let's not get it twisted. He was their last line of defence, and with that, you know, he shone because he had to make vital interceptions. and vital challenge and vital challenges, you know, and he had to win headers and stuff like that. So he looked really good for Romania. But I've watched him play with Tottenham, and I just think to myself, listen, I'm not going to diss him now because he's still got time on his side because he's young. But I'm not enamoured and I'm not raving about Dragusin at the moment. I just think he's a gem that needs polishing, if that makes any sense. He's a gem that, for me, he's a gem that needs polishing. I think that Romero is like, way. He's untouchable compared to Dragusin, and so is Mickey van der Ven. At the moment, you've got them two, and then Dragusin really is not up like that. He's a lot lower than them two in his caliber at the moment, but he's got a lot to learn, and that's possibly. And I'm not going to say that I know Ange Postecoglou because I don't, but that's possibly why he wasn't given the opportunities far earlier at Tottenham, because he still has a lot to learn. I don't know. As I said, I'm not part of the coaching setup. You've asked me for my opinion, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. I like the look of him. I do like the look of him, though. But we'll see. He's another one we've got to see a lot more of, isn't he?
Yeah. I've got another question to ask, but before that, let's just catch up. We've got here. We've got.
Jose, just before you do that, mate, can I just say that I'm about to pass away metaphorically with the charge on my phone. So I just want to say good night to everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. You're an absolute legend, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Adrian. Thank you. All the best to you. And as always, come on, you bloody Spurs.
Thank you, Tigaro. Thank you for everything you do, mate. Have a safe evening. Have a nice sleep. And I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah?
Do, mate. Take care. See you guys.
Thank you very much, Tigaro, who's probably one of the people that's given memberships out to some of the people that are in the chat. It's just I can't remember who gave out what. Just Fusion says, an active board that cares about the product. Wow, imagine that. Eamon Correa says, Bayern will do well next season. They've got Paulinho as a DM. Just Fusion says, I washed up, Kate. No longer resemble that remark. Okay, fair enough. Dry Roasted Peanut says, of course David didn't watch the game, not with that Wi-Fi. Kev G's here and he's speaking to the Hotspur Hood, but nice to see you, Kev G. The Hotspur Hood says, Dragusin, another player we play wrong. He can't do a VDV. He's an old school centre-back and more similar to Romero. Highline is no good for Radu, is what Jazz Fusion's saying. Top man for Tigaro, comments for Tigaro when he was leaving the show. Ben, good afternoon, Ben from Sardinia. It says, good afternoon from sunny Sardinia. Escaping Spurs is absolutely fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic holiday, Ben. Fair play to you, mate. Mr. G says, to be fair, Dragusin, he is often playing with 4th or 5th or 6th choice defenders. Possibly. You've got a big up Tiger and thanks again. And the Belgian Hotspur says, Buongiorno, signor Kaufman. Con il tempo. Ti auguro una buona vacanza. There's my Italian for you. Dry Roasted Peanut, I'm going to start that because I'm going to go back one. Right, I'm going to start with AJ because AJ hasn't said a bit for a while. Oh, no, do you know what? In fact, I'm going to start with David. David, I'm going to start with you.
What?
Do you want me to start with AJ? You or AJ? Who do you want to go first? AJ? Okay. AJ, question from John Michael. Is anyone in the chat happy with Solanke?
Oh, am I happy with Solanke? Okay.
Because it's a panel, I'm going to ask you guys first.
Okay. First of all, with the whole Dragusin thing, I agree with what I think he's a good defender. I think he's a very good defender, but some of the chat are saying that he's played the wrong way, and I agree. He's quick, but he's not Van der Ven quick.
No.
When you've watched him, he plays his best football when he's tight to his man. He's strong, he's physical, his interception, he'll nip across and win the ball. He's an old school centre half. So play him that way. And unfortunately, of the two centre halves we've got currently that are our first choice, it's Romero whose place he would be taking, and he's not going to displace Romero anytime soon. But with Solanke, I watched this really good video that Kate actually showed me, and it was a piece done by 442, and how Solanke and the type of player he is, and how all of his attributes fit what Ange is doing and the system Ange is trying to play. And if you actually watch it, it's really good. It's very in depth. They go through everything. They list all his characteristics, all his attributes, use heat maps, data to show you exactly how he will affect this team and how the team will benefit from his style of play. Because we play a lot of the balls out wide, get them down the flanks, whip them in across the box. Problem is, very rarely do we have anyone arriving in the box or in the box to hit. You know, what's happening? You've got your fullback whacking the ball across the box to your other fullback. You need a centre half in there that's going to play in that position. And Solanke fits that mould. Is he a £65 million defender? No. For me, realistically, if I was going to sign Solanke, he'd be about 40 million. I would expect to pay that. However, when you want a player, it isn't about what you want to pay. It's about, do you want that player? Do you need him? What does the club want to sell him for? And I think Liverpool, I can't remember the percentage, but Liverpool earn money off of the transaction too. So Bournemouth have to make it financially viable for them to sell him, right? They need to make money off of him. So are we taking a risk buying him off of the back of one good season? Yes, you could argue that. But does he fulfill the criteria that we need? Yes, he does. What did annoy me when I saw it, though, is apparently this deal has been on the table or being discussed for 8 weeks. Solanke wasn't at the Euros. If we are taking 8 weeks to go and buy Solanke from Bournemouth, there is something very wrong there. That deal, if he was our guy, if he was identified and he was who we wanted, we should have gone and got him like that, a week to 2 weeks maximum. But we didn't, which leads me to think that maybe he wasn't our first choice. Maybe he was 2 or 3, an option. But I can't believe that we, a top 6 team, would be messing about for 8 weeks trying to sign a striker that we feel we desperately need. Does that make sense? So on the whole, I hope I've got my point across. On the whole, I think it's a decent signing for us. I think his attributes, the way he plays, fits us. We just have to wait and see if it works. Nobody's a clairvoyant here. Nobody can travel into the future. Nobody is an expert, because if they were, they'd be managing in the Premier League, wouldn't they? They wouldn't be sat like we are discussing, giving our opinions. So time will tell. But for me, it's a decent bit of business.
I question the timing as you do, AJ. I think it was down to the fact that we wanted to get players off the wage bill first of all. We got rid of players, and if you include Emerson, those players we've got rid of, and we've still got Gil, Lo Celso and Reguilon to go. That got us in 48 million, and we'd only spent 44, with 40 on Gray and 4 million on the Yang Min Hyuk, right? So we'd actually made a profit before we got Solanke in. I believe he was an Ange sign-in, and that's simply because the odd thing, we're paying reported 65 million with add-ons, right? So it could be 55 with add-ons or whatever it is, right, for him. And yet we could have got Jonathan David for 25 mil, Santiago Jimenez probably from 30 to 40 mil. We could have got Tony for 45 mil. And yet we went for Solanke at 65 mil with add-ons. So that is very telling to me. Ange wanted this player over the others. We obviously Tony's baggage didn't work. Solanke's, at least he got 19 goals. I know it's only one breakout season last year, and then you've got Jimenez and Jonathan David aren't proven in the Premier League, where at least Solanke's got goals. So I get it. Am I excited by the signing? No, I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm not underwhelmed either. It's just one I'll back every player at the club like I do every manager, whether I've liked them or not in the past. So no, but I mean, good point you make about the time it took. But then, as Jose rightly said in previous podcasts I've seen him on, you know, who would have foreseen Højbjerg to Marseille, right? And again, with the Gray thing, the other signing is we moved quickly after Brentford stepped in to get him. I'm glad we've got him, you know, but I can go into that for another reason. So, yeah, but a valid point, AJ, on the how long it took. Jose?
And David, what's your thoughts on buying Solanke?
He's a good signing. He's not a great signing. He's a good signing. Why do we have to have just great players? I mean, we haven't had a history of getting great players, not since Van der Vaart and Klinsmann. So I don't understand it. We've paid overs for him, but there's a homegrown tax, isn't there?
So they say.
And he scored 17 goals. I mean, Gyökeres or whatever his name is, lad from Coventry. He's had his breakout season as well. So, and he's only had one season. There is such a thing as late bloomers.
So
he won the Youth World Cup. I mean, the seniors haven't won a Youth, haven't won a World Cup either. So yeah, and he seems to suit Ange's system. He's good in the air, and he plays all right against us too.
So I'm going to come to Angel. Says, to be honest, I'm not particularly impressed, but in fairness to him, he's a right-sided centre-back, as with Spence being a right wing-back. I'm really not overly fond of playing players out of position. I think that might be talking about Dragusin, yeah. Dry Roasted Peanut is very happy with Solanke. He's a perfect fit for our system. Defo start Bentancur, Bisberg. We've not come to that yet, but we'll talk about that. Darren Fearon says, I think Solanke is a system player that fits how Ange wants to play, so I like him. Just Armors Potato says, got to run big up to every one of you. Thank you very much for being here, Just Armors Potato. Take care of yourself. He says, come on, you Spurs. I'm asking people to hit the like button on the show your appreciation. Ben says, all the people I'm staying with who are Italian football fans are commenting on how bad Tottenham are. Kevin G says, Romero will be gone to Madrid next season, so Dragusin will be in his place. Adrian has put in the video, the link for the video, which is 442. It's on Solanke that was being spread around yesterday. I've seen it. I watched it last night. But like I said,
I think this is a different video. I just watched the beginning of it. I think it's
the Solanke one.
Yeah, but it's him turning up at the training ground.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay.
So I'll put it in there for you guys. I've plastered it in about 6 other groups.
But there is a video that's doing the rounds on. It's 442.
Yeah, Kate mentioned the 442 one yesterday.
Just looking at Solanke, and I watched that yesterday. And it was a good.
Yeah, it's a good video, and thing no one's mentioned yet, but I'm sure you all know, Solanke suits the press system because he's very energetic, physical, and he presses. Whereas Tony doesn't. Jonathan David, very energetic, doesn't. You know, so if you were looking for better than Solanke, you'd been looking for like Ben and Brian Daigle. I think they both like Gyökeres and Openda, but Openda's young and at Leipzig, and Gyökeres David's just said here, he's only had a breakout season. He didn't do that much at Coventry, did he? And then he's had his stats are phenomenal this season for Sporting, but you know, obviously Ange wanted this player because he was dearer than the other options, so that tells you he really wants him. So this is another Ange signing, you know, and we'll see how we go.
And you've got Answell says, I think Solanke will fit into Answell seamlessly. He has all the attributes that will suit our style. Tigaro has gifted out 5 memberships. Thank you very much.
Tigaro's a madman.
I can't see who's got them because they came through earlier. But what I will say to people is some people watching the show here, if you turn on your permissions to accept gifts, then some of you would get these memberships, is all I'm going to say. because if you turn it on to accept gifts, some of you will receive some of these memberships. Darren Fearon says, I don't rate Jonathan David. Just Few says, job doesn't get done until somebody starts looking. If you can find one, it's even more of a clue to change it up. Angeball says, that's why I couldn't really understand why we brought Dragusin, because I always thought Phillips or Emerson would cover Romero. I always thought that the left centre back that could play left wing back was more of a priority. Matthew's just saying the one word. He says, Eze. Good afternoon, Matthew. I hope you're well. He says it's all about getting the right player for the position system. Does not matter if they're 100 million or 10 million, aged 18 or 30. Danny says, if Ange wanted Solanke from the day why wasn't he bought at the start of the window? Like Ange said, he wanted. Solanke had an okay buy at 65 million, 29 goals in 130 games and 1 England Cup. Let's hope he works. Ange Ball has said, I'm very happy with Solanke given serious lack of talent out there. Steve D, guess I'll be labelled unambitious. I'm happy with top 6 and decent cup runs as long as I see progress on the pitch. All I want is consistently enjoy what I'm watching. Can't say that over the recent years. Dry Roasted Peanut is saying, who are we signing next, a winger or Eze? The Belgian Hotspur says, not a massive fan, but if Ange wants him, so do I. Dry Roasted Peanut saying, Solanke is pretty quick too. Steve D says, he's an upgrade by some distance on what we've got, so why not? And Kev G says, I remember everyone saying Johnson would suit Ange's system. Let's face it, if he makes shit look good. And Danny says, got to love how Solanke Gray was Ange signings, but Werner wasn't. So does Ange call who he wants, or does Levy do it? On the questions that I was on, what was I say? Sorry. Starred questions. Right. So with the Solanke thing, Adrian, you touched on something earlier, right? Which I'm gonna say now is I can't remember what it was, and I was gonna look for it for today's show, and I just actually forgot to do it. But there was an interview that Ange did. It's possibly about a week ago. It may have been after we've come back from the tour, right? And in that interview, he talked about signings. I don't know if you've seen the interview or the transcript of it, but he talked about the signings and why it's been that they haven't got someone through the door at the moment and what his personal thoughts are on it. And he alluded to things such as, players out there, for him, the players got to fit what they want and has to want to come to the club. He doesn't want the type of players that say, well, I've got like 5 other offers and they're offering me whatever £1,000 more than that. Because he said, the minute that someone starts talking like that, they're not really interested in investing in coming to your club. Did you see the interview I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get. And he said, because someone even asked him, I don't know if it's the same interview. Someone even asked, which I loved what his response was. He said, yeah, but some report said, yeah, but players won't want to come to Tottenham because they might want Champions League football, or words to that effect. And Ange went straight back. He went, listen, mate, I only want players who want to play at the Tottenham Hotspur. And I love that answer. I love that answer. So that shot that fox, right? Straight away, he killed that. No, I believe Solanke was a signing. Danny, respect his opinions. Dan, I disagree with you on the Werner thing, because in that January when we got him, he was an opportunist signing Werner. And
that's right, Adrian.
Yeah, the thing is, when you look at Werner, he's an Ange player. He's a wide winger, hugs the touchline with tremendous pace. I'm not a fan of him, you know that. Same with Johnson, wide winger, suits the system, attacks the pace. So when we took Werner in on loan, that's down to Ange. Solanke's down to Ange. He's an Ange signing. We could have got cheaper players. We could have got Tony. We could have got Jimenez. We could have got Jonathan David, right? Much cheaper than Solanke. So that tells a story. That tells a story. Ange wanted this player out of the chocolates in the box. That's the one he picked. He picked the strawberry one.
Yeah, so I said, to me,
you're spot on, mate.
So to me, go on.
Werner got brought in to do a job. Now, why we re-signed him is another thing, but we had no one on the left there. And there was an opportunity to get Werner in. Werner was available to cover for, Solomon, Perisic, and Sonny that was away. We had no one. We had no options last year. This year, we're starting to get options with the youth coming in and that. And they'll get better. God, 18-year-old in grey that we expect to hit the ground running. I mean, keep it real, not delusion.
I don't know if you guys think
there's delusion in reverse too, I might add.
Because the reason I say about getting players out before we bring them in who's late, and I agree with what AJ said, you guys and those in the chat, is because with Solanke, and if you include Graham Bergvall, who are going to be in the first 25, even though they can probably be named in the B list, but they will be part of a 25-man squad. Solanke gives us, with the players we've gone out at the moment, Solanke gives us 24 players in the squad now, and I'm taking into account that Reguilon, Lo Celso, and someone else will be still to go. Emerson's still got to go, and Neil's on loan at Girona, and he's still got to go. So there was a lot of talk during the early part of the transfer window about we have to shift players first, and we've done it. When we get rid of the last three, then it's just down to players that fans, which they're usually like, it's very subjective who they like and who they don't like in the squad. But you know for a fact that there was no way Richard. I mean, like when there was all this talk about, Richarlison will have to be sold to bring Solanke in. I mean, I've never heard so much BS in the media and social media about this transfer window. To me, all the BS has been the worst I've seen. I've never seen so much that just doesn't make logical sense, right? And Richarlison's not going anywhere. I mean, a lot of these players, I will agree, the likes of Basuma and Maddison, and even, they come January, if they haven't performed, they could be under threat. I think Basuma's the one that everyone's looking at more than anyone else because he's expected to perform like he did at the beginning of the season. Position. If not, he's got competition. So, but no, on a window.
I'd like to see Maddison doing less. Sorry, Adrian. I'd like to see Maddison doing less media and concentrating on his football a bit more. A bit of the Roy Kane. Well, if you're not cutting the mustard on the pitch, why are you doing interviews? Sorry, Ted.
That's right.
I actually thought Basuma and Maddison started brightly yesterday. Then Maddison took a smack in the head, and that was quite a firm nut in the back of the head he copped. But I thought they started brightly. I think they know they've got to perform, which is good. Yeah.
Basuma does impress me. Basuma does and has impressed me. The issue with Basuma is, of the three midfielders, he's the one the most deep lying, and that's not his game. You can't keep putting square pegs in round holes. Why are we trying to shoehorn players into positions? If we actually signed, and I keep hearing Ange doesn't play six, okay, but you need to adapt. You need to, in any aspect of life, you cannot be regimented in what you're doing. You need to be able to adapt and grow and learn and understand. If we had a genuine six, I've been saying this since halfway through last season. If we had a genuine ball-winning number six who just sat there, cut off passing lanes, intercepted the ball, I used to play that role. My team, not because I'm excellent, but my team conceded less goals when I played because my job was to intercept, and as soon as I won that ball, I got rid of that ball within 3 seconds. Whatever that may be, whether I'm passing it back to my defender to create space for the team, drawing the opposition on so your defenders can pump the ball long, peel off, make space, whatever, whether I'm turning and trying to play through more attacking players, you need a defensive player that's going to offer some sort of protection to your defenders, because It doesn't matter. I've said this in the group chat. It doesn't matter how good you are as a defender. You could be the 2 best centre halves in the world. You could have the best understanding, the best partnership in the world. If you are then being counter-attacked and you've got 3 versus 2, 4 versus 2, 5 versus 2, eventually you are going to concede. And if that's happening over and over again, you are going to concede a multitude of goals. So if we had a 6 or a defensive-minded player, Basuma's not defensive-minded. He's a very good 8, and I would play him in 8. But if we had a defensive-minded player that was going to sit there and just do nothing else but win that ball, hold up play, and play his attackers in, give it to his more creative players, I think we see our goals conceded drop by at least a third just through having that body in that position.
We have that player, AJ, though, because Romero could do that job, and he even scored 5 goals last season. Then you could
I don't think
you could play.
I don't think he's disciplined enough. I really don't. I think
I do. We'll have to disagree on that. I do. I think.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But I just think Romero loves to. I just think in that position, you've got to have more bite to your game. In that position, you've got to go and win that ball, And I just think that added urgency, we've seen that he's missed time tackles before and it's cost him. I just think in that sort of environment where he's got to press, he's got to win that ball. There's an urgency to it. I can see that being bad. And then why would you play your best centre half in that position?
Yeah,
why
true.
would you?
True, because he plays shotgun and quarterback for us, and everything goes through him. I'm just saying, I believe he could do the job. His interceptions are good. Even when he has to come and shield the ball from other players on the touchline, he never looks to boot it in a touch. He always looks to keep the ball in play and play out. He's our best defender by far. He's a Rolls Royce. I just think that he's got 3 years on his contract, so he's going nowhere in the next season. Then you offer him a new contract. If he doesn't sign it, then you sell him, because you do that with every player who's down to his last 2 years.
Oh, hang on, he's going to Madrid. That's the latest rumour.
No.
I saw it in the chat.
Well, if you believe the other thing, then Levy said, okay, 150 mil, and they backed away.
That's right. I'm only putting it.
No, so it's interesting. I mean, look, I think Romero, when I first suggested that, we didn't even have VDV in, so I knew, but I think he's got the qualities to do the job. If others don't, they don't, but Ames tends to this is why I think he wanted Conor Gallagher, because I think he wants 2 energetic number 8 styles behind a number 10 who can share the defensive responsibility. My gripe with Basuma is his recoveries. When he loses the ball, he's got to get back, not stroll back. I've seen him virtually stroll back and walk back. I've seen,
Well, I saw Gray cleaning up for him against Hearts when he was losing the ball. And he was just strolling back. He wasn't helping like a teammate should.
But AJ, we'll come back. What I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed in the pre-seasons, when he started games and recent friendlies, I'm not sure if it's all, his midfield 3 have been Bissard, Basuma and Maddison. And I think they'll be the starting 3 against Leicester away. I don't know what you guys think. Well, fine. I'm just saying, so that is telling. I'm always looking for, when we play our games, what everyone should look for is not just the 11 he starts against Leicester. They should look at the 9 on the bench, because that's an insight into his mind of who he trusts more, barring injuries and suspensions. And then look at the 5 left out of the side, right? Because why they've been left out? They haven't even made the match day squad. Now, if they're kids, you can understand it, right? But if they're a more seasoned pro, you can think, that'll get you thinking.
What about Sarah at number 6? I don't think that we do play to a 6, an 8 and a 10.
Well, Danny said on the previous podcast that Bentancur played there for Juve. I don't watch Italian football series, so I don't know. So perhaps he would be I like Bentancur driving us forward. He gets us up the pitch. That's what I like about Bentancur. He's like forward player. But Jose, you're a big fan of Bentancur. Do you think he could do this?
In a minute. I just want to catch up with the chat. I'll let you lot just talk, so I want to catch up with the chat, and then I'll come back to it.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Bentancur.
Making coffee, guys. Making coffee.
Angel says, I never wanted Johnson or Madders, but I'm happy with Solanke, and you can clip this. But he also says that he never wanted Timo either. Kev G says, Werner and Johnson are both gash. Mr. G says, good afternoon, Mr. G. Says, the idea that Levy goes around picking players to sign is moronic. Danny says, Ange moaned about our attack and re-signed one of the problems. Werner is shocking, has been for 5 or 6 years. If Ange wanted Werner, then that is not good. Angelo Tyro says, good afternoon. Sorry, David Shear, good day, Cobb. Angeball is then says, I think it took time because Ange wanted to do his due diligence. He knows it's serious money he's dealing with. Let's go Solanke. Destiny 5. If Ange don't have so-called plan B, he'll be gone by Christmas. Kevin G says Bissouma offers nothing. Angeball says his due diligence. Tigaro. With Solanke, Ange picked the gold-plated, white truffle-encrusted lobster with foie gras and caviar, and Levy paid. Good signs. I always support and will never lose hope. Come on, you Spurs. Kev G says Madders may benefit from Solanke coming in, just in my opinion. Kev G then says impresses how he does nothing. Dry roasted peanut. Bissouma worries me in the 6. He loses the ball in dangerous areas. Kev G says, if we had a genuine number 6, we'd still fall under this system. Bayern played all around, whereas 6 would be yesterday. Also, it says, well said, mate, but Ange don't adapt. I played DM as well, and that's how you do it. Destiny 5 says, not to worry, we have Skip. Steve D says, I question Bissouma's attitude. He's great when it's going his way, but when it isn't, he goes missing. The Belgian Hotspur says, well said, AJ. I want a guy he plays with Bentancur for Uruguay. Angeball says, we desperately need a backup left wing back. As much as I know KWP ticks boxes, once again, he's another right wing back that doesn't cut it at left wing back. We need a natural left wing back as cover. Destiny 5 says, even Pep don't play with 2 inverted fullbacks. It's madness. The Belgian Hotspur says Romero out of position is ridiculous. Why play one of the best centre backs in the world out of position? Destiny, no point scoring goals if you can't protect your own goal. Kevin G says Sarr has been a huge disappointment so far. Looks lost out there. Tigaro says Bentancur, Sarr, Bergvall for me on form. Just keep our Swedish price away from choking hazards. Angeball says, I hope not. I want to see Bentancur, Biss and Bergvall. Come on, you Spurs. Graham is saying, my midfield for Leicester is Gray, Benny and Bergvall. Chuck caution to the wind and go for it. Danny says, with Bissouma, this is what happens when you don't play a player to his quality. He's a very good player, but defending is his weaker point. And again, this is why I question Ange on so much. And then he says, Bentancur as a DM DLWP at Juventus was good at it, but not the DM we need, but best we got at. And Ryan G says, big up Jose, David, Cobb, and Adrian. Adrian, you said the words. And good afternoon to you, Ryan. By the way, you said the words to me, Bentancur.
Good day, Ryan.
And look at who's in the house as well. John Fitz says, big up all, John Fitzpatrick. Good afternoon, John. Hope you're well as well, sir. You asked me a question on Bentancur. Now, Bentancur, and I don't know, Adrian, whether it's on your show or one of my shows. It wasn't so long ago, but I said I can't wait for Bentancur to come back from the Copa America. And I actually said that I feel that Bergvall and Archie Gray would learn the most out of Bentancur. Being around Bentancur doesn't mean you got to start, but just watching him on the training pitch and just being around Bentancur,
Yes.
I felt that their midfield, they'd progress and they'd learn more from him than what they would do from the likes of Sarr, Bissouma, and that. I just think that he got an energy and that you know, and the way that he plays and the drive that he's got. And I turned around and said, I think the South Americans have got more balls and are up at you and in your face than a lot of the other players we've got. So when people talk about leaders, I said on previous shows, you can't look past the South Americans because they've got the big cojones to do things. And that.
Yeah, they're more prickly. I'd say they're more prickly than our players are like, you know what I mean?
So for me, I watched Bentancur yesterday.
You're a team to play against.
So I watched Bentancur yesterday come on in the second half and play, and it was no coincidence that he played and he was brought in with Bergvall. And obviously Archie Gray played more to the right back system, but that Bentancur was on the pitch when he was playing as well. And I mean, I wasn't at the game yesterday. John Michael was. I don't know whether he's still in the chat, but I would have thought someone like Bentancur would drive your team forward, would be talking to players and stuff like that. And it'd just be interesting to see the role that Bentancur actually plays for us, because I think Bentancur, and I did say last season, and I hope I'm right, because it's opinion again. It's not factual. It's just opinion. I said that last season, and with Bentancur, we should be happy and, you know, be happy for every minute he gets on the pitch, because every minute he gets on the pitch aids his recovery from his two bad injuries that he had. And I said that, you know, providing he gets through the pre-season or the summer and all that, and he gets minutes under his belt, then hopefully we should start seeing a Bentancur more akin to the Bentancur that we saw a couple of seasons ago. And
yeah, he's got a big role to play,
and that's what I'm hoping now.
Yeah, and like you can put that what would have been political sensitive stuff that happened with Uruguay and Colombia because of punch up. I mean, it must have been music to the Uruguayans' ears after the Argentinians and Enzo Fernandez was singing a racist song, because racism is more politically sensitive than a punch up is. So for those that fear he might have no future at the club, I think you can dispel those fears, because like Bentancur will be at this club and he has got a future. You know, there's no hints of him going or anywhere. And Chelsea did their bit with Enzo Fernandez, didn't they? They made donations to charities and the usual PR stuff you try and do to correct an awkward situation for the club when you're talking about £100 million player that you don't want to lose for nothing. You know, so no, Bentancur, I love him to death. I mean, last season though, on talk of that midfield, someone said afterwards Sarr's out of place. Hang on, right? Sarr's 22, right? And last season, he was our best midfielder because Maddison and Basuma dropped off the pace, right? Bentancur got injured. Sarr was our best midfielder last season.
Yeah. Right, sorry. You got Ryan says, I've joined your FPL, Jose. I can't remember if I've joined the predictions, but if I haven't, I'll join tonight. Right, there's someone called, I can see you've joined the fantasy because I see your first name and your surname. Someone called Ryan has joined the predictions as well, so you're probably in both of them, Ryan. Ronnie says versus Leicester, Vicario, Porro, Romero, VDV, Udogie, Bissouma, Bentancur, Bergvall, Son, Solanke, Kulu is a team that he would select. Tigaro says still a few unallocated memberships. Turn your gifting on for a free month with Jose. Hit the like and subscribe as well. Cheers. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, Tigaro. So yeah, if people turn if people go to their settings and accept gifts, then you can get memberships from people that do generously donate to getting memberships. So he's quite right there. So yeah, if you want to be a member, it's not for some people. People might not want to be members of any shows, but if you do and you fancy a chance to become a member, just turn your gifting on. Ansball, I love Lolo. Maybe you could start with Bentancur, Bergvall and Kulu at home, but I'm not sure if I trust him away from home. Last year was last year and means nout. Spurs.
I've got to go, Jose.
Go on.
I've just got to go.
Okay. Sorry.
Great channel. Yeah, I've mentioned in chat 5 minutes. Great chat, and I love Spurs, and let's stick with them. And the negative, it's their opinion. I'd rather enjoy the season. What a great community we're building on both channels. And AJ, I love your opinions on the game too, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Much appreciated.
You guys take care. And I hope you enjoyed the grandkids, Jose.
I did. I'm tired
Good
from
on
it now.
you.
I'm back to work tomorrow, so it's gone quickly.
Oh, it's like a Sunday when we were at school.
Yeah. But David, thank you very much for being on. I wish you
No,
a
thank
really,
you. I'm a bit
I
off
wish
colour
you,
tonight. So.
I wish you a really restful evening because it's your bedtime now. I hope you get a good kip and a good
Yeah,
rest and come out fighting again tomorrow, mate.
and I love this channel and this format. And Jose, every time I go to put in for predictions, it says that I haven't got a valid email. So I don't know what's going on there.
You have to type in your email correctly. That's probably telling you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's all it's telling you. If you type it in, it will accept it.
Yeah,
If
it's the
typed
internet that's a problem, not me.
Okay, if it's a digit out, then it's accept it. But yeah, you got
Anyway,
Spurs. All right, thank you very much, David. Take care of
hooroo.
yourself. Spurs
See you,
Truth.
buddy.
I mean, good afternoon, Spurs Truth. He's also said thanks for the membership. Spurs Truth, the membership went to you today, and it was from Tigaro SPT. So if you've got anyone to thank it's Tigaro. Mr. G says Saar was good last season, but he needs to kick on. And yeah, so I'm gonna go back a step, right? So, boys, you watched the game yesterday, right? Is it too early to start predicting what the lineup's going to be for next week? Is Ange going to be stuck in his ways? As anybody, when I say stuck on his ways, you can with Ange last season, right? Whether it's by hook or by crook, we had injuries and that, but you could always predict you weren't going to be far wrong from what the starting lineup would be. And it's just, do you think the kids and the people that are returning from injuries and the people that are returning from tournaments, have any of them done enough, or are any of them not ready enough to be in the starting 11? And I know we're a week away. Signings could still be made. People could still get injured. But if you were to select who you think Ange would pick today, what would your selection be? And I'll start with AJ. Go on.
Oh, sorry, that jumping the gun there. How dare I? I think we all know what the back five's going to be. I don't. Udogie's just got back from injury, but it's going to be Vicario. It's going to be Van der Ven, Romero, Porro. He's got a week, hasn't he? A week's worth of training now to make sure he's ready to play the full 90 minutes. So I think Udogie's going to be there as well. So that's the back five sorted. I don't think Solanke starts. He hasn't been with us. It depends what the training's like. I mean, what sort of pre-season have Bournemouth had? I haven't kept tabs on it, so I don't know. Are his fitness levels? I can imagine he's quite a fit lad, because he leads the table, the charts in pressing movements, pressing actions. He's incredible at that. So you would imagine a player who does that, who has that attribute, is quite fit. But is he fit enough to play the way we play? I don't think. Maybe he doesn't start. Maybe Kulu starts through the middle as a false nine, and then Solanke comes on with 20 minutes, 15 minutes to go, depending on how the game's going. That's all, of course, due to how Ange thinks he fits the system, whether he's ready to go or not. In midfield, I've been less than impressed with Maddison. I think he's the outlier in poor performance when it comes to the pre-season. I don't think he's been anywhere near it. I think Son's been quite disappointing as well, especially against Bayern. I would start Son out left. I don't know who I'd start out on the right. You've really only got Johnson, haven't you? Bergvall would play instead of Maddison. And then I think you've got maybe Bentancur and Basuma. I wouldn't start Archie Gray. I think it's too much too soon. I think Bergvall's ahead of Gray, actually not just. I think Bergvall's obviously ahead of Gray. I think Gray's a quality player, but I think Gray's going to need to play his way into the team gradually. I think he's going to need to pick up minutes and just build his confidence to play his game, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, that's how I think he should line up. Whether he does or doesn't, it's totally up to him.
AJ, we're going to have a good bench, whatever happens, aren't we?
Yes, there are options. There are options, definitely.
I think it'll be the back five that's played all last season. I think the midfield three, he's going to start and give him a chance. I think it's going to be Saab, Basuma and Madison. I think that's what he'll go with. Up front, Sonny's on the left. I think he started Johnson virtually in every game. He really likes him for his system. And because he's got the pace, he'll play. It's just the number 9 position or the false 9 position is the only one. I mean, because he said in his last press conference he doesn't see Decky playing in that position, but he might be bluffing. So, I mean, like, I don't know. So, and we haven't seen Richarlison yet, have we? So is his calf injury still giving him grief? It looks like he's not ready. So he could, through the middle, you're either looking Decky or Solanke, really. You're looking at giving Solanke a game. Perhaps Decky will start and Solanke will start on the bench. Is Solanke ready? He's match fit and you're playing as a number 9. So it's not as though you play your normal number 9 game. It's not as though you've got specific duties you've got to learn, is it? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Solanke started. I think Decky's earned a right to play. He's been our best player pre-season with 3 goals and 4 assists. It can't be denied. I mean, if you like him or not is another matter, but he's earned the right to start. So if it was me, I would start with Decky because he's earned the right. But then I think you'll have Solanke on the bench. You know, it's going to be interesting because, yeah, I'm sure we'll come on the transfer window in a minute. Like, it's going to be interesting though. But I think you'll start that midfield. I know everybody would like to change things, and some, with the way we defended last year, some people's suggestions are a bit overly attack-minded. I'm not against that. It looks great on paper, but it could be a bit suicidal to play. You know, if you've got Madison up there, and he's not really going to track back and help you out defensively, is he? So to play Bergvall as well, he can get stuck in. Yeah, no, I think he's going to go Basuma, Sarr, and Madison in midfield.
Right, you got Angeball is off. Thank you very much, Angeball, for being here. Well done, mate. Mr. G says there's a lot of talk of a behind the closed doors friendly this week, since we're not playing till Monday. Graham says, AJ, to dare us to do, go for it, chuck the youth in. Dragon D's Nut says the older players potentially don't gain as hard in pre-season for fear of injury. Hopefully they'll be fit. So hopefully they'll be on it from match week 1. Tigara says Solanke will play guaranteed. Mr. G says Solanke should be match fit. He had a full pre-season with Bournemouth, but I think Decky may start. David Shear has said we haven't spoken about Son, funnily enough, which is something I did want to talk about. And how do we think Leicester? I don't know what that means. But what I will say, yeah, with the Solanke thing, Solanke has had a full pre-season with Bournemouth. The only thing that Solanke missed was yesterday was Bournemouth's last pre-season match. They played against Girona and they beat them 3-2. So he would have come out of the side for that, but he would have been in the squad preparing for that game during this week as well as part of his pre-season. But then probably on Thursday, when it all started coming about and that, he probably stopped. You probably don't stop training with the club, but with the travelling to do your medicals and stuff like that, you may have missed a couple of days. But other than that, he's had a full pre-season. And Iriola does put you through a pre-season as well. So I think when it comes to match fitness and sharpness, I think he's there or thereabouts. And the saving grace for us, if you like, is we still have another week on the grass to fine-tune ourselves for Monday's game. So he could be fine-tuned in the drills and the way we play and stuff like that during this week. And I would not be surprised Solanke starts against Leicester on Monday. Midfield, I won't get the midfield I want. So I'm going to go partly there, and I'm going to call for Bentancur, Bissouma, Bergvall.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, well, I won't get the midfield I want, so I'm going to call for that. I'm going to call for that. I think Bergvall, watching Bergvall yesterday, it wasn't just, his thought process and his passing and stuff. It was his interceptions as well. He intercepted so many moves, and he picked up the ball and won it with ease and elegance off their players. He got the ball back.
He's really just quickly. So hungry, isn't he? He's hungry for that ball all the time.
But he never dived in, AJ, did he?
No, I know. His composure.
And got it. Yeah, he was composed in the tackle as well. He wasn't diving in and rushing around. Yeah.
Said that in the group chat, didn't I? His composure for an 18-year-old is incredible. Like everything, he just seemed, nothing phases him. And yeah, okay, you'll get some people going, oh, you're talking about him like he's a world beater. I think he's got the potential to be. I certainly think he's got the potential to be up in that bracket. But what I see is a young man that some people were saying, oh, but he's only playing in the Swedish league. Yeah, okay, he was. But he's made that transition. He's been tested against Bayern Munich twice. And let's be honest, well, from my point of view, he's been our standout player. With the exception of Decky, Bergvall has run the game. Whenever he's on that pitch, you don't fear that he's going to lose the ball. He's always pressing. He's always looking to make the tackle. As you said, he doesn't dive in. And when he gets the ball, he's smart about how he uses it. He isn't lashing the ball forwards, hoping that someone's going to get on the end of it. He recycles the play so well. And he's 18 years old. And if we're smart, if we do start winning things and we handle him the right way, who knows how many years we could have that level of quality, and he's going to get better and better and better as he grows up. So, yeah, absolutely. I think we have got an absolute gem of a player on our hands.
So I'm not going to get the midfield that I wanted, that I called for last week, is not the midfield I'm going to get. So I'm going partly there, and I'm going to say the three that I just said. I'm going to say Bissouma, Bentancur, Bergvall. Defence, yeah, if a doggy's fit, and I mean match fit to start, then I think the defence picks itself. And it will be the 4 from last year. And goalkeeper-wise, I think Vicario's earned enough last season to warrant that he's number 1 and he'll start the season off. Although I think he has been iffy in pre-season. And I think Brandon Austin has been like a revelation, a brand new signing. No one's seen him in the building. All of a sudden, he signs a 5-year contract, and we now know why, because I think he's played really well pre-season when he's had his opportunities. Up front, I'm going to talk about this, right? Sonny has not impressed me at all the whole of pre-season.
I agree, mate. Absolutely.
It's not impressed me at all. I don't know. We're all crying out, saying, look, Sonny's done us, he's the best finisher. Sonny done us a touch. With Richarlison being injured last season, he played down the middle, but we didn't want to be in that position again. So we've now got Solanke, right? But is Sonny the left-sided winger? Does he offer you more than Werner, Solomon? Does he offer you more than Kulusevski playing on the left-hand side? To me, Son has been ineffective the whole of pre-season. But it's not just now. For me, he's been ineffective. And to me, he's been waning. He's not been the Son of old for a couple of years now. And he's been waning.
He looks like his legs are absolutely shot. To me, anyway. Like against Bayern Munich, there was an opportunity. I forget how it comes about now. But I think it was Bergvall, wasn't it? Or no, Kulu, I think, set him away. Yeah. And the old Son would have been absolutely beeline for goal. You're testing the keeper. He looked absolutely out of his feet. He just, it worries me. It really worries me.
It doesn't worry me. He scored out in Asia and that, didn't he, to delight the fans out there. But what it is with Sonny, when you notice, when he does things instinctively, it always seems to come off much better for him when he has time to think. And the other concern with Son is when he has them games when, like, it's just his first touch deserts him. He needs to rediscover his first touch. There was one time out on the left, he received the ball, and his first touch was too hard. all right, we're not at pitch level, you know. When you watch some of these videos back, they're showing you ball move at pitch level. It is whizzing around. We're watching high up in the stands, and that ball is whizzing around. So sometimes when you slate a player for his touch, you really need to see the pace of the ball coming to them, whether the pass was, you know, whether it warrants the criticism.
Can I just quickly say big up to Brian in the chat and Hotspur Hood. Absolute for me, absolutely hit the nail on the head. And it's what I've said about Sonny for a long time now. I love Son. What he's done for the club is amazing. But with Son, he is either very good or very bad. There's no middle of the road with him. And he's lost, for me, he's losing his legs. He's losing his pace drastically. And when you take Son's pace away, as Hotspur Hood just said, you lose 3/4 of what he is as a player. Because that he's got that dynamism, he's got the ability to run, take players on, drop the shoulder, whip the ball in. If he hasn't got the pace, he's not putting himself in those sorts of positions.
Well, we may see a freaky situation where Richarlison plays on the left and Solanke's in the middle.
I don't know about that. You got a Hotspur Hood says Johnson, another bang average player who couldn't even make West Ham's team. Rather Kulu, and that's not even his first position. Mr. G says, how do we think Leicester will play? If they low block, then we can go more attacking. Leicester play with a 4-3-3, and they play with two wingers, but not wide forwards. They play with actual wingers. Not Mavididi. I can't remember the names, but they're two unpronounceable names for me, and I can't remember the names now. But they play with two out-and-out wingers. Mr. Daigle, Brian, says, good morning, everyone in the chat. And the lads on screen, hope you're all well, having a great day. And you too as well, because it's early for you, Mr. Daigle. Not as early as what I know that you have been up, but it's still early for you. Mr. G says, Son was poor yesterday. He had a couple of opportunities to get a shot on goal, but miscontrolled the ball. And what you're referring to, that Dan says, Sonny losing his pace. At that pace, Sonny loses 3/4 of his games, like Michael Owen. I've been saying it for 2 years. 2 years I've been saying that he's been losing his pace.
And he still scored how many goals in those 2 years?
Oh no!
I don't know. You're going to tell me.
What have you got?
Steve D says, time waits for no one. Happens to the best of them. His best days are behind him. And your favourite supporter, AJ, is here. It's Kate and AJ and Kate. Your favourite supporter, AJ, is here as well. Look at that. Both of you on the same stream.
Oh, would you believe
Kate's
it?
come on to big up Decky. I know. I just know. I can sense it.
To be fair, I've got to give him credit where it's due. He looks a different prospect when he's playing as a number 9. So I will big him up in that respect for sure.
You watched the game yesterday, Kate?
I did watch it. I predicted 4-1 to Bayern, so it wasn't quite as bad as I thought, but it's still a bit concerning, I think. I think we're getting carved through like butter a bit too often for my liking, but we'll have to see if Ange can make any adaptations at the start of the season. It's a bit nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie.
For me, a lot of it was to do with what I saw. It's every single time the youngsters get on, we get carved open less. And I think it's because the youngsters have just got that much more bite, that much more determination, that much more hunger to win the ball, that they're closing their men down quicker. So the counter-attack is not as effective. If you've got, I say this to my son all the time when we watch football. He'll see somebody unchallenged whack a 60-yard pass and it goes, and he's like, oh, great pass. I was like, no, it wasn't. Every midfielder, even every centre-half should be hitting passes like that. When you've got a man on you, you've got pressure and you're able to beat your man and then ping a ball a la like Kevin De Bruyne, 65 yards, absolutely into the path of your on-running player. That's a brilliant ball. If you've got someone on you, in your face, it's so much harder to play. When they're standing off you and they're lethargic and they're taking their time, you've got all the time in the world to pick the right pass, to do whatever you please with a ball. And it's just, for me, our better performances so far this pre-season have come when our youth players have got on, because they are hungrier, thirstier. They just want that ball and they hunt that ball down. They are in your face.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I haven't watched all the show. I mean, I've turned my camera off because I am an absolute sweaty mess. I've been in and out the swimming pool and just ate a Magnum, and I thought I'd jump on. But
Lift up.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I've gone off on a tangent about something completely different.
You said you hadn't watched the show, but you talk about whatever you want, mate.
No, I was just. I mean, here in this group of like you three and myself, are any of you like? I know Jose, you're very positive. Are you not a little bit concerned that Angie's tactics might leave us wide open this season, or are you fully faith, in Ange?
How much of a myth is there with his tactics? I mean, fans always look, or sometimes desperately claw at things and do their critique when things go wrong. Like there aren't enough leaders in the team, which I think is rubbish. I think there's just lack of aggressive players, and they go on about Angie's tactics and all that. But if we talk about the high line, how many times last season, Kate, did we see our two centre backs? We saw it at Chelsea when we lost 4-1, and 2 of them goals were scored in the 96th minute or 98th minute or whatever it was. How many times do you actually see us during a game when we're parked on a high line? And then also, how many goals did we actually concede from breakaways last year? It was about 6. I don't think it's the system, it's the players. We're in desperately in need now. If, as Ange said, that he sees Decky more on the right, I think, well, if we're not going to go for a right winger, if we've got Johnson and Decky out there, then we really need to get. I mean, I'd love Eze at the club, but I just think a left back's more important. I think a left back, and if Spence is not the answer, then if Gray isn't going to play at right back for us, we need a right back as well. If Decky plays in midfield, we've got 8 midfielders already. So it's a question of like holes to fill. I mean, I would love Eze, but then it's Angie's job to put him in the team. He's either got to play as a cam or a 10. He's not going to play at left wing because he hasn't got the pace which Ange requires in his system of a left winger. I mean, this is why he's got Johnson. This is why he's got Werner back, because they hug the touchline and they're fast. But that's just my opinion on it. I mean, like, what's your take?
I disagree slightly with that, mate. I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's personnel and system. Most of the goals we concede are on the counter-attack when we've pressed everybody into that final third. The play gets broken down, they hit us, and then it's a 3 or 4 on 2 because our 2 wing-backs are inverted. They're up in the number 10 position, and there's nobody sitting to offer any sort of protection to your back too. So we get caught out time and time again. However, a DM limits that, but better players who can hold on to the ball and use the ball without giving it away. Our issue is that time and time again last season, you got a wide player, whip the ball across, nothing comes. What happens? The keeper gathers it or the defender gathers it, pumps the ball forwards. Everybody's already forwards. What happens? You get broke on. You're under the cosh. You concede a goal. If you've got players like Solanke's been identified as the player to fit the system that's going to be arriving in that box to convert more of these goals. If the goalkeeper's picking the ball out the back of his own net and the players are marching it to the centre circle, you're not under pressure. So I think it's a mixture of both. The system does leave you very open, but if you've got better players who can use the ball more effectively and not give it away, you're not going to have that problem where they're hitting you consistently.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be a bit but clear what I said, we haven't conceded many goals when it's become a foot race for our centre-backs. In fact, hardly any, right? That's what I'm meaning. So I don't think it is suicide to have 2 of them parked on the halfway line when they are. But like you said, I mean, obviously we conceded goals. We conceded up until Christmas, we hadn't conceded a goal from a set piece. And from Christmas, we conceded 14. So that's got to be fixed. That has got to be fixed. And, yeah, so other goals you look to in errors. And funny enough, we concede all these goals, but we don't criticise our back 5. Only Vicario's coming for a bit of criticism lately, or towards the end of last season for the set plays, which is it's a bit strange, really. But even Udogie on the left, he dropped off the pace a little bit towards the end of last season, being out of position, caught and all that. And like, yeah, we need. I mean, I'd like another 3 players in. I mean, I wanted a right winger, and I definitely wanted a left back, and Eze would be the ideal for me, a right winger Eze and a left back, because I think you've got Spence. He's still got to develop better. His defensive qualities, he needs to improve defensively. There's no shadow of a doubt. He's looked so good going forward, and that disguises his failings, you know. But we know Gray can do that job because he played 30 games at right back for Leeds. But I want a left back in this window. I really do want a left back in this window.
I think oh, sorry. Go on, AJ.
I just quickly wanted to say one more thing. I forgot to say. My mouth works so much that my brain doesn't catch up.
We noticed.
The only thing I liked from Jose Mourinho's time, the way he played, was that one fullback would go and you'd be left with a back three. You'd tuck in and you'd have a back three. And that's how he played. He played with one fullback going at a time, getting up, joining the play, and you'd have that protection of a back three. So if the system could be tweaked to do that, maybe if you're going to invert your fullback still, maybe just one at a time, then that free space up in the middle so Maddison doesn't feel like he's crowded out. But, you know, what do I know?
AJ, sorry, Tigara, sorry.
Jose. No, I'm going to shut up.
Kate asked the question. I don't know whether you caught the question, Tigara. Is about, do we think we've got a problem? Kate, did you say, do you think we've got a problem defensively? Is that what you said?
No, I said, do you think Andy's system, it's concerning coming the new season?
Right, and Tigara, what are your thoughts on that, mate? What's your answer on that?
I just jumped back into basically just to say hi to Kate.
Hi.
Hi, Kate. How are you, legend?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Pardon me. It's all right. Apart from needing a lungeotomy, I'm fine. Yeah, it needs a bit of a tweak. But having said that, look at the Man City game from last year, which was the penultimate game, if you will. Stopped Arsenal, the Gooners, the filth from down the road, from getting the title, which was great. But there was a lot of changes in that game. If you looked at the way the team set up, the way we played, there was a lot of changes. It was manipulated to deal with us. But the only reason I jumped back on for just a very, very short time, I actually had a question for all of you. Do you not find it unusual around Eze? The silence has been deafening. A player of his caliber has been linked to United. Oh, sorry, not to United, to City, to Spurs, but no one has been. There's been no talk. No Romano, no Ornstein, no anyone has been speaking about Eze. I honestly think he is over the line. I'll leave it there. My phone's about to die again. So I just wanted to leave that with you. But the Eze thing is really, 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 really unusual. So peace out. Love you all. Take care.
Bye.
See you in a little while. Take care. Be well. Jose, you are a bloody legend, mate. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Jose and Kate, you're the only two I will ever subscribe to now. I've learnt my lessons. I've learnt them well. And peace out. Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care, mate. Right, Dan, good afternoon. Now that you finished work, did you hear Kate's question?
No, I didn't, mate. Sorry.
Bloody hell. I've got to repeat myself again. I know what Dan's answer is going to be, but I said, are you a bit concerned that Angie's system's a little bit leaving us wide open?
Yeah, of course it do. Well, yeah, it does leave us wide open, but the problem is that we said when Conte was here that we wanted attacking football, and like when we start seeing attacking football now, we go the opposite way and say it's too open. I do get it. It's too open, but we did ask for this last summer. We did ask for attacking football.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that, but I also think if you look at somebody like Poch, he plays attacking football, but then he also has an organised system in defence.
Yeah,
two inverted fullbacks is proving to be a little bit suicidal. Not going to
lie. Sorry, mate.
I was going to say, when I was a youngster growing up, right, football was different because you couldn't pass back to the goalkeeper. Sorry, you could pass back to the goalkeeper and stuff like that, but you always played out from the back, but you always defended from the front, right? And Liverpool, back in the 70s, Liverpool, Ian Rush was the first line of defence, and you always defended from the front. Now, at the moment, yeah, I do agree. Sometimes we do look open, but with Solanke and with that video that you posted up, Kate, on 442, Solanke becomes your first line of defence. Solanke means that we now have a spearhead and we can press as a team as well as defend as a team. And I think that it's going to be interesting to watch at the start of the season when Solanke's in that side to see how we do end up defending and attacking and pressing and that. And I think that he's going to have a major say on that. It's not about one player; it's about a team effort. But if you've got that person starting from the front, right, then both pressing and defending from the front, then I think Solanke will be a good start for us.
Spawn, mate.
Is it a question of the system or is it a question down to the players? I mean, you look at Spence yesterday, right? Where was he when Gnabry was down on the left all the time getting them through? Where was he, right? And for the third goal, he was standing in the left centre-back position when Decky had come back at left-back. This is when I talk about positional play and intelligent awareness. Where was it? Now, I get the criticism of the system. Fair enough. They're valid points. But I'm also wondering if some of these players just need to get a bit more bold with Ange's philosophy. Now, I could be right. It might just be the system or it might not, or a bit of both, right? But to give another example, I mean, Kate knows and you all know, I was very critical of Porro when he first came in that game against Newcastle and Leicester when he played. But look how he's adapted, right? He's still better going forward than he is defensively, but he's adapted his game. He's got superb technique and he's settled in, right? Now, you know, your doggy was a little bit, I mean, we all love him because we always love the young players and we get emotionally attached because they're young. And sometimes we can be a bit too all forgiving of them. But he had a few poor games towards the end of last season, your doggy, you know. And like, so I'm wondering system or players not doing as they're told, you know. You're on mute. Kate, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. I was just waffling away to myself. What I was actually going to say there was, I hear you, and I'm not someone who's calling for Ange to leave or be sacked or anything like that. But you've got people in our fan base saying Romero and Van der Ven are better than Saliba and Gabriel. You've got people saying that Kulu and whoever's better than Rice and Maddison's better than Ødegaard. So then how are the players not adapting? Surely if they're good enough, they should be able to adapt to any system.
Well, I haven't got an issue with Romero and Kulu. I think Romero is one of the best defenders in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. If you want to compare him with Saliba, all right, Arsenal finished above us last season, so it's very hard to sort of argue with how well he played. But the season before, when you compared Saliba's stats with Romero's stats, all the stats, not just ones when fans want to be like economically selective. When you compare all the stats from that season before, Romero's stats, believe it or not, this might sound incredible, twice as good as Saliba's. They were twice as good. So
Romero simply,
I really rate Romero. I just think he's a Rolls Royce. Yeah.
Romero is a World Cup champion, a Copa America, multiple champion. World champion at that, and you know, at the end of the day, there isn't actually any comparison. There's no Arsenal defender that's better than Romero. It's completely, to me, it's a nonsense.
They're different in style slightly, Saliba tends to sit back more and sit more where the defence is. Where Romero he got us 5 goals last season. Romero,
I get what you guys.
Defensively, the Arsenal are a good side and defend well as a unit. But they do play a different style of football compared to us. I'm not going to diss all their defenders because they've got some good defenders, Arsenal. But for me, Romero is a world-class defender. And I don't think there's any debate there. He's a world-class defender.
It can be debated amongst fans who's better than who. Is Van de Ven better than Gabriel? Is Saliba better than Romero? And they're all very good defenders, but partnerships build good defenses. And whilst individually, Romero and Van de Ven are two very, 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 very good defenders, as a partnership, we haven't seen the best of them yet, especially given the way we find ourselves exposed. As I said, it doesn't matter who you put at centre-half. You could pick the two greatest ever centre-halves from world football and put 4 players against them, put 4 average Premier League players, and you're going to end up conceding goals time and time again. Numbers tell. So you need the right personnel, but you also need the system. They need to go hand in hand.
Well, I wouldn't argue with the fact that Saliba and Gabriel had a better defensive shield in front of them than Romero and VDV had.
Exactly. But that's the thing. We don't have that. So we're open.
That's the point I was trying to make. If we've got these players that are Rolls Royces, World Cup winners, why are we we were leaking goals for fun at the end of the season, but you're saying it's not the system, it's the personnel. Well, who do we need then? I mean, I don't think any team in the world plays this system in the Premier League and makes it work.
Towards the latter part, the middle and latter part of last season, our midfield and forward line were pants. That was why. You defend from the front, don't you? Our midfield again was pants. I mean, there was no energy. There was no one in there to help try and break up play. When we went down and we were struggling, we'd bring on Skip or Højbjerg to try and stiffen it. Sometimes it worked, and somehow we managed to finish 5th, and get European football. But our forward line, it just didn't click. I mean, we also, and the remarkable thing is, if we'd have buried half the big chances, we'd have finished 3rd, not 5th. That's the joke of it all, really. I mean, like this midfield is. Look, we all know, don't we? We all know that most games are won and lost in midfield. This midfield has got to be fixed. There's enough players now to permutate it. You can pick your 3, right? There's enough players to, for Ange to use. So, and it's down to him. He's got to fix it.
Yeah.
Dan or Kate, one of you. We got to this point where we were saying that we've seen the pre-season. Bearing in mind where we are now, so we don't know what players are going to go out, who's coming in before next week, if any are coming out or going out and coming in. We don't know anything about injuries because people could get injured on the training pitch between now and next week. We hope not, but it does happen. And then also with the form of the young uns and how they've played so far. Kate, I'll start with you. Who's your starting 11 for next week?
I would play what I would call our strongest 11 with Udogie, assuming he's back, Van de Ven, Romero and Porro. I'd start Bergvall over Maddison 1,000,000 trillion zillion %, with Basuma and probably Bentancur, I think. And then I would have Solanke, Werner, Sonne. I think Johnson's only going to ever make an impact off the bench for me. He's not a starter. He's not good enough. And I think Maddison has looked abysmal. And I don't like to lump on Maddison because he gets a lot of stick. But we need, in my opinion, we're desperately in need of a midfield general like Dembele. I keep saying it. I wanted Zubimendi. I know it's not going to happen. It's not going to come to Spurs. But we need someone of that ilk. But everyone tells me Ange won't play like that. But that's what I think is massively lacking in our team. But that's the team I would play.
And Dan, what about you, mate? What's your starting 11 as things stand at the moment?
Vicario in goal, even though he's made quite a few mistakes recently. And just wanted to say 1 second that a lot of fans towards the end of Lloris's time like to criticise him for the amount of mistakes he made. I want to see the same energy for Vicario because he's making quite a lot of mistakes quite early in his Spurs career already. So left back Udogie, right back Porro, left centre back Van de Ven, right centre back, obviously Romero. Then midfield. This is a bit sketchy. I'm not going with two youngsters in midfield at the same time, because I think that's a bit too risky. I'm going with Gray personally over Bergvall, and I'm going to go with. I'm still going to pick Madison as well, and I'm going to pick Bentancur. The three midfielders, and my left winger is going to be Son. I refuse to play Timo Werner unless we have to play Timo Werner, and Solanke in the middle and Kuda on the right.
Can I just quickly say to Dan that Vicario didn't make one error leading to a goal last season?
No, I'm not saying mainly about the season. I'm just saying that in pre-season, we like to bring up Spence doing good things in pre-season. We like to overhype Spence for having two good pre-season games when he's done nothing for us, like in league football. He's not even played league football. So I want to see like the same energy for Vicario when he's making two mistakes, 2 games in a row in pre-season from his crap distribution. When it is crap distribution. Because at the end of the day, we criticised Hugo Lloris a lot towards the end of his career. The best goalkeeper this club's had in the last 30 years. I just find it a bit disrespectful towards the end. So that's just me personally.
So basically, I think all 5 of us and Taigaru, who had to go earlier and put his team up again, we've all gone for different lineups, and that's what it shows you. The game is about opinions. We've all picked different lineups, different formation. I think the only lineup that we've all agreed on is the back 5. Yeah. And then apart from that, we've all gone with 3 different midfielders and 3 different attackers.
I think I would actually change mine slightly. And take out. I would have. Oh my God, I can't even speak. I would have in midfield Bergvall, Bissouma, and Sarr. I wouldn't start Bentancur. I'm thinking out loud. That's the only change I've made.
Oh well, you had the same midfield as AJ and myself, and now you've changed it.
Sorry.
That's all right. you've just changed it because it's going to be 3 of us had the same midfield, but you've just now gone and changed your midfield.
Sorry, I like to be different.
Oh well, we were being different as well, and we were picking our team for our own different reasons. It just so happened that we ended up with AJ and I ended up with the same midfield.
Yeah.
So you've got Taigaru says that he would go in with Vic, Porro, Kuti, VDV, Destiny, Lolo, Sarr, Bergvall, Son, Solanke, Kulu. And Scott M is saying that he would go in with Vicario, Doggy Van der Ven, Romero, Porro, Bentancur, Bergvall, Madison, Son, Solanke, and a random fan. So there we go. There's a team. So right, we're going to go on to it. Adrian, you said that we'll go on to it, so we will do transfers.
Yeah,
it's all gone quiet. It's all gone quiet. Hold on. It's all gone quiet, right? But someone was saying, and I can't remember. Someone earlier on said, it goes quiet, and then all of a sudden things happen, and the in the knows don't know what's going on at all, because with the Neto deal to Chelsea, Neto gets announced, or the word comes out about Neto, and within 24 hours he's going to be a signed player. And then you hear about, straight after that, you then hear that Tottenham went in supposedly with a offer, cash and player. Chelsea did cash player as well, right? And Wolves said no. And then Chelsea then went, okay, we'll drop the player and we'll just give you the cash. But no one knew that Chelsea were going for Neto, because all the in the knows were saying that Arsenal were in the box seat for Neto, and Neto's gone to Chelsea. So again, I think the journalists are well off the mark with a lot of the reporting that they're doing. So what I was going to say is, with the realistically, are we going to have any more movements between now and the Leicester game? That doesn't mean that players going out or players coming in will end up playing on the Monday night. I'm just wondering, is there any realism of any players going or coming in before next Monday?
Yeah, I definitely think that Reguilon and Lo Celso will go. I don't think there's no problem getting rid of Reguilon. Galatasaray rumoured to be in, aren't they? And he wants European football, and he's left-footed, so they're a premium. It's just because it's only now that the transfer window is really starting to kick in a little bit. And you've still got the 2 weeks into the season as well till September the 1st. So it wouldn't put it past us getting a player in that. I'm expecting at least another 2 in. I'm expecting 2. So I wanted 4 at the beginning of the season. We got 1 in already, and now we've got Solanke, that's 2. I'm expecting another 2. I'd love Eze, obviously, right? Then it's Angie's. Then Angie gets paid the big bucks to sort out where he plays him, probably as a cam or a number 10. Will we get him? I'm umming and ahhing, you know, a question I keep asking myself. The money you pay for an Eze, would you go for a left back and a right winger instead? Use that money to get 2 players in and fill 2 holes of go for Eze. Then I look at the Eze situation as much as I want him, and I think that, well, we've got Bergvall can play at the 10, Decky can play at the 10, Donnelly can play at the 10, you know, and you've got Madison can play at the 10. And left wing, he's not fast like Werner, or he's not even as fast as Sonny to play on the left wing. So I don't know. I mean, this is. I've been more perplexed over this transfer window. One, because Angie's very hard to fathom out what he really wants. You know, he's which is a good thing in one way, isn't it? I mean, like you rightly said, you know, all this BS in the media about transfers, all that talk about Højbjerg here, there, and everywhere, he ends up in Marseille. You know, all that. We know that Archie Gray wasn't like our first target in the transfer window, yet after Brentford make a move, we get him in. Suddenly the Solanke's deal done, and you know the Solanke deal's been in the pipeline for ages, and that we've paid, rumoured to be paying up to 65 million for him when we could have got Jonathan David, Jimenez, Tony much, much cheaper. So he's definitely an end signing. So I hope we're in for I want a left back in this side to fill that hole behind you, doggy. And a question of, well, it looks like Spence is staying, so he's going to be cover on the right. So then get me a left back and Eze.
AJ?
I'm here, buddy. I just had myself on mute. I don't like how long it's taken us to be doing business, to be quite honest. I think if you are a club playing catch up, which we are, we're not only trying to catch up to the Cities, the Arsenals and the Liverpools, we're trying to stay ahead of catch up to now. Aston Villa, stay ahead of Newcastle. West Ham are making moves. We need to be acting, proactive instead of reactive, and we're not doing it. Solanke apparently, for whatever reason, 8 weeks. So that's a long time to identify a player and get him in. It doesn't bode well for the remainder of the window. We're kicking off in a week's time. We should have the players that we've identified to bolster the system, to improve the squad. We should have them in now. We should be ready to go, not a week into the season and then, maybe we'll get this one. Maybe who's about, who can we get? We should have our targets clearly identified, as we were told we were. We had them identified, our first choices. And what's happened? Very, very little. Will we sign anyone? I'm not overly optimistic. Realistically, I think we need another 2 players at least, another 2 Premier League quality players to push us on. No more youngsters. We've got a good crop of youngsters, and they'll find their way into the team, and they've shown that when called upon, they can deliver. I'm not overly upset that Neto's gone. For 60 million plus his wages for a player that can't complete a Premier League season, whose stats are comparable to Timo Werner's when Werner has played less games. No, thank you. I'll leave him to go to Chelsea and figure out where he fits in there with the 5,009 players they have. Chiesa, I don't think Chiesa's the one. A decent player. Some have said world class. He certainly isn't world class. He's had 1 brilliant season, 2 good seasons, and the rest have been nothing to write about. He's had terrible injury concerns. He's never played in the Premier League. Would he adapt? That's a huge risk. Would he adapt to the league and the injury concerns? So I don't know who we get. I really don't. Eze would help the squad. He would offer a totally different, something different to Bergvall and Madison. right? Those are the two players that we think are gonna be vying for that creator role. Eze is a totally different. He's a very good dribbler. He's a different dynamic. I'd get him in. I really don't know. I really don't know. But whatever we do, we need to be doing it. We need to stop messing about. Stop taking 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to identify a target, discuss, be interested in, looking at, maybe just find who we want and sign them. That's it.
Dan?
2 more. We need at least two more signings, but I'm not confident, mate. We're going to get them, and if we do get them, like I said to you before, I think it's going to be late in the window now. And you're correct. And you're correct what you said recently as well. What sort of rumours can we believe? Because 1 minute we're after this player, then we find out we're not even going for that player. So I don't really know what links to believe anymore. I know one thing. I'd be very surprised if Eze does sign for us, because we spent how much will Solanke work out to be in the end? Like full package, over 60 million.
Yeah. So I think they paid 30 million up front. Another 25 gets paid over 6 years. And then 10 million in add-ons that need to all be achieved to get that extra 10 million. So basically, this year we spent 30 million pounds on Solanke.
All right, so I'll count that as 30 then. So that makes it a bit more understandable then. 30, and then obviously we paid, say, 40 million on Archie Gray. So that's 70, and then we're going to spend another.
We wouldn't have paid the 40 up front this season.
No, Dan. Let's be clear on the players we've got rid of. Emerson. You've got rid of Logan, right?
But again, Adrian, by the same token, though, we wouldn't have got all that money up front either.
But it doesn't matter if it's up front, because it goes on your books. It goes on your books for that year's account, whether you've been paid it in full or not. So in theory, we spent 44 million on 2 players, but we've got a minimum, I worked out, 48 million in. So before we got Solanke, we've made 4 million. So only include the Solanke 30 million, even though it'll go on our books, right? Danny, we've got plenty of money to get Eze. Don't let no one kid you, this club's skint, yeah? Because that is BS. We've got loads of money, right? We can get Eze and a left back, right?
Sorry, Dan, go on. So you're reckoning, Dan, if we're going to make a further 2 signings, you think that they possibly might be by the end of the transfer window? They won't.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I definitely don't think we're going to have any new signings in now. I think Solanke was the only new signing we're going to have in between now and the Leicester game, which I'm personally I'm okay with. I just wanted the number 9 in before the Leicester match, which I did say for the last couple of weeks. So I'm sort of okay with that. But I don't think I could definitely see us in the last week of the window panicking around like we did last. Levy does this every transfer window. He seems to thrive off trying to get deals done in the last week of the transfer window. He seems to think that clubs become more desperate to sell their players as well in the last week, when really it works the other way around. Like they've got Levy more. We're more desperate to sign a player in the last week, so clubs can sort of like ask for extra money. But personally, I think we will get. I don't know. I think we'll only get 1 more player. I do want 2 new players, but I think we'll only get 1 more player. I think we'll get a central midfielder.
Okay. Do you think any players will go out between now and the Leicester game, or do you think that will again be towards the end of the transfer window?
Well, like Adrian said about is it Reguilon wanted by Galatasaray?
Yeah.
Or something to think that can happen after the transfer window closes, because the Turkish window closes 2 weeks after the English transfer window. So any bit part players that are still here after the English window transfer window shuts, wouldn't surprise me if a few of them head to Galatasaray like Sanchez and Ndombele did last year. But I think Lo Celso is definitely going to go, and I want him to go now. I'm sick of him being in my club.
I also believe, Dan, that you can actually do loans outside the transfer window anyway. I'll stand to be corrected if anyone knows in the chat, in case I'm wrong.
You can only do them within the transfer window period. So if you can loan players out to leagues that fall outside of our transfer window, so they can be loaned out to them leagues. But if you're going to have let's say for the whole of Europe, the majority of Europe closes on the 30th of August. So if you're going to do loans, it has to be done up until that point. If you're going to go to somewhere like Saudi Arabia or Turkey, or the ones that go on for a couple of weeks longer, then people could still be transferred out to them. But you couldn't get any players from their clubs, even though their window, because our window would have shut on the 30th. So
just want to add a point on people worrying about the money and what we spent and we haven't spent, right? Just consider this, right? Even if you're low estimates on money in on our books, Roden went. Now, he'd have gone for 12 to 15 million, even if it was a part of the deal, right? So if you said 12, right? You got Emerson. If he goes for 15, 27. Højbjerg, if he goes for 15, you're on 52. Diego Santiago, if he goes for a couple of million, you know, you're on 44. You got Gill on loan, right? A few mil, 47. Noel John went to the second division side in Portugal. So if he goes for a couple of mil, 48. Parrott went for 8 million, right? You're looking, even conservatively, you're looking at 55, 60 mil that we've got back, plus the wages we've saved on those 7 players as well, right? So no one's going to tell me there's no money to spend at this club. We've got bucket loads. We can go out and get Eze. No excuse for still going big in this window as far as I'm concerned. Little rant over, right?
Kate,
Do you think
the only one that I haven't asked. Sorry, Kate. What do you think between now and the Leicester match? Any more incomings? Any more outgoings? Or do you think it's all going to be tied into by the end of the transfer window?
I've got this will be my last thing because I've got to go because my barbecue's ready. I'm hoping there was rumours or there was news yesterday. I think Brentford signed Carvajal or something.
Carvalho.
Yeah, I would love to see Mbeumo. I think there's more chance of me becoming the Queen of England than there is of Eze coming to Spurs. I don't think there's any chance on this planet that will happen. I would like to see a winger come in and somebody. I'd like a DM, but like I say, I don't think we'll get one, or a cover for left back. But a winger for me is a priority, and I think. Well, I'm 50-50. I don't know. I agree with Adrian. I think there's no excuse with regards to money. It really irritates the crap out of me that Levy can convince everyone that we haven't got any money when we're renowned FFP kings and we've got money coming out of our arseholes, excuse my French. But I'm not going to rant. But I would hope, like I say, I would love to see someone like an Mbeumo that's gone completely under the radar, us go in and get a player like that, because I think it would be a fantastic signing. We've bought in Solanke. He's brilliant with his head, and yet we've got no wingers that are going to cross it onto his head. I never want to see Kulu on the wing again, ever, for us. So, yeah, I hope to see at least one, but I think we need 2 or 3 still to come, but I'm not overly confident. And I hope the Celso and Reguilón go before the start of the season, because they both do my head in and all. Stealing a living, the pair of them.
Can you bring Ben's question up, Jose?
But whilst I've got Kate on it before she goes, I just want to make sure that you've heard me say this today, right? I think Tottenham finish higher than Aston Villa this season.
I did that last season.
I don't think Aston Villa's business is all that it's all cracked up to be, that people are jumping on the waves and the boats about. I looked at the players that they signed, and I don't think they've done brilliant bits of business there.
I agree, mate.
I said last season on the terrace we'd finished above Villa, and everyone laughed. Villa had finished above us, and I got laughed at. The team that concerns me is Man United. I think they're finished above us this year for sure. I don't have us finishing in the top 4, I'm afraid. But
I think Aston Villa are going to suffer, even with all the signings they've made. I think they're going to suffer the same way Newcastle did last season, because the season before I called for Tottenham to finish higher than Newcastle, is what I said, and that happened. I think it's going to play out as well this season. I think we'll finish higher than Villa. I don't think Villa have got this. They've done brilliantly in the market at all. I mean, I've looked at the players that they've bought. They've bought Amadou Onana in, who I didn't think was that great ever, and I think he's overpriced. They've bought him Jadon Philogene, Cameron Archer, Samuel Illing Jr., Enzo Barrenechea, Ross Barkley, Ian Matson, Lewis Dobbin. I don't think they've done great bits and pieces.
No, and they've lost Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, they've padded out this squad. They've got a lot more players. They've padded out this squad to go for 4 tournaments or for 4 competitions. But I don't think that they've gone out and they've done absolutely brilliant bits and pieces. But that's just my opinion. That's not. That doesn't mean everyone has to share that.
West Ham are going to be dark horses. I think West Ham have done some very, very clever business. They already had a sprinkling of quality. They've gone out and they've bought some really, really, really good players, and I think they're going to be a dark horse. I see them breaking into the top 6.
Can I ask you a question then, right? Because it's all right going to buy 8 and 10 players, right? Which a lot of these clubs, well, Aston Villa have. I don't know how many West Ham have bought, but it takes time for players to gel in. It really does.
Oh yeah, you have to manage them. You have to manage them correctly, of course, and that's the job for the manager, isn't it? If you can't just chuck everybody on, this is why, in my opinion, anybody, and I do mean anybody, pick a manager. Any manager that has the Chelsea job is doomed to fail. They've got more players than 3 teams combined. It's ridiculous. And the manager is meant to go in there, pick his first team, pick his first 11, not who's good enough for the subs, and that's working out who's for the system, what chemistry you've got. Ridiculous. You have to be able to manage the squad you've got, and if West Ham can do that, I see West Ham being a danger.
I'm going to jump anyway, but enjoy your day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Kate.
We're getting third, right? I'm getting on the Jim Bob crazy train. We're getting third, second if Man City get the expected points deduction.
So your West Ham has signed Wes Foderingham, Luis Guillermo, Max Kilman, Crescenzo Somerville, Nicholas Fulkrug, Guido Rodriguez, and John Claire Todibo. Right? So defensively, they may have got better because I didn't think defensively West Ham were that good. They shipped and
defensively they have. They're very much so.
Yeah, I was going to say defensively they leaked loads of goals. So basically they've got Max Kilman and John Claire Todibo in at centre halves. So that improves their defence. Does Wes Foderingham improve their goalkeeping? I don't know.
He's going to be a backup though. This is the one signing I don't understand them making because he got relegated with Sheffield United. He's an okay keeper, but he's not the keeper that pushes you on and challenges you. He's a reliable keeper that understands the Premier League, understands the physicality, and could do a job, but he's nothing exciting. With the exception of him, I think the rest of their acquisitions have been pretty good.
Okay, so Guido Rodriguez, who they bought from Betis, for those that don't know Guido Rodriguez, he never tore it up in La Liga. He weren't that special, and he actually left on a free. So, yeah, they've got him in on a free, but I don't think he was tearing shapes out in Spain. Nicholas Fulkrug, who signed from Dortmund, had one good season at Dortmund. Before that, he was unheard of. He's had one good season. Same as what people were saying about Solanke.
One set, mate, as well. West Ham have got as worse luck at signing strikers than Tottenham and Chelsea, mate. Can you actually name the last time West Ham actually signed a striker who actually worked out for their football club? Skamaka even went there with a good reputation, flopped. Haller went there with a good reputation, flopped. Literally, they have worse luck at signing strikers than Spurs and Chelsea. So even though Fulkrug scores goals at Dortmund, I won't guarantee he's going to go to West Ham and score goals.
Skamaka, I think, is still on West Ham. Is he still on West Ham's books, Skamaka? Yeah, I think he is.
No, he left.
Did he?
He went to Atalanta permanently.
Did he? I thought he'd gone on loan. Anyway, I feel really sorry for him because he's torn his ACL. He done it a couple of weeks ago. He's out for 9 months, they reckon, straight away. So he's out for the season. I thought he was still at West Ham, but if he's at Atlanta, then yeah, I hope that he recovers as soon as possible because you don't want to see anyone injured or anything at all. But yeah, I feel sorry for the lad because he's
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Bowen's done well for him, and he's proved it over a couple of seasons now. But Kudus has got to prove it next season as well.
Kudus is a good player, Adrian. Bloody hell.
I know he's a good player, and he probably will shine.
Yeah, Kudus.
He's still got to do it. So they're good in a wide position.
I think he did better. I think he done really well, Kudus, last season, and I think he's a player that we should have gone and got. But I said this 2 years ago. Kudus was a player I would have gone and got, but he's flown the coop. So, with that being said, right, because I've been on for nearly 3 hours, I need to go towards the end. There's another question that we had up there that I starred. We haven't answered yet, and it is: Eamon Correa says, what happens if we finish 7th next season?
We go in the Europa Conference League. That's what happens.
Oh, no.
Well, it's not going to happen. Seriously. There's no way we're finishing out the top 4.
We nearly finished 7th last season. You went for a couple more games. We could have finished 7th last season. Chelsea nearly caught us at the end.
If we'd finished half our big chances last season, we would have finished 3rd, not 4th. That's the rest of the Premier League as well, though. You know.
I wouldn't say we're too good to not finish 7th, because we finished 7th like literally 3 or 4 years ago. We nearly finished 7th like could have ended up finishing 7th again last season if it weren't for our beginning of the season form. So it sort of depends how the season goes. There's at least 5 or 6 teams in this league who could easily finish above us.
Yeah, what we want to see though, I mean, like, we will improve, right? We know we've brought players in already, and there's still time to come. Other teams around us have improved. We had 22 injuries last season, right? More than any other team, right? Other teams around it, I want them to improve. I want it to be like the top eight expected teams, or 9 teams taking points off each other, because that gives us a better position to finish in a higher position, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Others seem to think, no, it's a threat. It will be to our demise if other teams play better. I don't think it will.
Yeah, because I'm going to be sending out, for the people that I've got in my group, which the 3 of you are, I'm going to be sending out a message to you guys to give me your predictions on camera. So send me a little video, which I'll collate and have for the end of the season. But I'm going to do that, and one of them will be what position do you think we'll finish. So you don't have to answer this now, but it's just saying what will happen if we finish 7th. And I think, Adrian, you hit the nail on the head straight away. If we finish 7th, we're in the Europa League.
Conference League.
Probably.
Conference League.
I mean, we all want to see growth and progress, don't we? To dispel some of the the opinions that the system's, not the right system for the squad or whatever. But I don't see it. I'm sticking my neck out on 3rd this year.
Personally, if we're going to get anywhere near that top 4, we need to sign at least this window, another 2 reliable quality players, and that's if we're going to get near it. I think it's going to be a big ask this season. Lots of clubs have we have improved with the players we've got rid of, and the quality of the youngsters coming through. It is an improvement to the squad, but we need another 2 quality, ready-to-go players that are going to walk into that and displace members of that first team. Yeah. Otherwise, it being a very hard season.
And with the young players that are brought in, especially Graham Bergvall, all right, there's been a case said, yeah, but they're young, they haven't proved themselves and all this, but they've shown quality in these pre-season games. And all I've said to people in other podcasts is, when you look at those 2, if you don't think they'll improve us, I get where you're coming from, because you haven't seen enough of them. But with them, at least, AJ and the rest of the panel, at least we're treading water with them. And if you want to look at and you want to differentiate from other players in the squad, well, to me, Archie Gray is definitely better than Ben Davies, and Emerson Royal will be going, and Bergvall's definitely a better player than Skip. So to me, that in itself is an improvement. But I'll take a level view that like we're treading water with players like that, but we're not gone backwards. We've not gone backwards with them.
Fair enough. Well, people, we've been on for 3 hours now, so I'm going to come to the end. I think we've talked Tottenham through and through. Season, as we're all aware, starts next week. So I think people will be ramping up on their channels for now that the season's starting. So where people might have been quiet, you're going to have a lot of channels coming live because the season starts next week. I ask everybody to support all content creators out there. Watch shows, because there's difference of opinions all throughout the fan base. The other thing I wanted to say to people is, for those people that are interested that still may be here in the chat, is that we've got 2 competitions that we're running this year. 3 competitions, but 2 will be online, and they are, as can be seen, they both can be found on the community page. And one is the Fantasy Premier League, and one is Predict the Football. They are both there. So if you go onto the community page, you will see them both there. The links are there with the codes, and that will kick off. They will both kick off next Friday because that's when the season kicks off. So I would ask people, if you want to join, it's not too late. Just go to the community page and get your teams in for both of them competitions. So apart from that, what I will be doing is, again this year, I will be running the manual predictions league, where the show will be every Friday as per usual, and we put up each fixture, and then you give us your scores, and then I go away and put them onto a spreadsheet. It's all manual, all good fun. But the one thing I will do this year is I won't be chasing people in groups. It will either be the people that do it live on the show, or people that do it, if they miss a show, that do it in the comments section after the show. And that's it. And gentlemen, can I thank you all for coming on and spending some time with me today. Your members, you're welcome to do so. And any other member that's come on today as well, thank you very much for being here. Any final words before I go? Anyone got any final words before I close it off?
No, mate. Just thanks for being on.
Where we can be found?
Say it again, Adrian.
I can be found on Spurs Diehards TTID on Facebook. Run a group there. I have nearly 14,000 Spurs fans. I can be found on Facebook at Adrian_Stroker, all lowercase. And me and 3 other admins. There's a show tonight. We run Spurs Diehards TTID. There's a show tonight at 8 o'clock. EMF's running it, hosting. Scarfy's on. I think Brian Daigle's on. I'll be on as a co-host. And are you on tonight, Jose?
Yeah, I've been sent the link already. Yeah,
and Jose's on. So
he wants me every Sunday.
So we've got a good panel apart from Jose. You know what I mean? So Thanks please come along, and if you like the show, obviously subscribe to the channel and leave a comment, because that helps us. We're doing okay. We're growing quite well, actually. So yeah. So that's all you want to know about and hear about me, I'm sure.
Dan, you've not entered the fantasy yet, have you?
I'm not doing the fantasy one this year, mate, because I know for a fact I'll end up forgetting after like 1 or 2 weeks.
But they send you emails, so they send you reminders all the time. So
what I do is I'll see in a week, like if I can bother, I might do it. But I just want to say thank you for having me on, Josie. Appreciate it. I just want to say as well, I'm looking forward to the football coming back. Obviously to see Tottenham, and another reason as well, I ain't got to see Spain win any more football tournaments this summer anymore.
Don't tell me
that includes women's football, that includes men's football, that includes Olympics football as well. So I'm just glad I can go on some.
Danny, they didn't win the boat race this year. Yeah.
Didn't enter.
Oh, yeah.
We win anything we enter. We beat France in the Olympic final 5-3, Adrian.
I went 3-3 and then 4-3. I didn't actually 5-3.
Yeah.
I so badly wanted France just to win that, just so I could see Spain lose at least once this summer. But even they still won that final. I was like, oh dear.
Okay, there's always the Copa America. We can enter that if we want as well now. No, I'm joking.
Joke.
Thank you for coming on, Dan, AJ, Adrian, Kate, Tigaro, David Shear. So the members that came on today, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone in the chat as well for commenting. You guys are the ones I keep saying that make these shows happen. So thank you very much, everyone. And before I go, just to remind people that Graham put in a member chat in there for his 1 month membership, and Tigaro gifted 5 memberships. So thank you very much to Tigaro. And to everyone, I will say, come on, you Spurs, in hands we trust. And we shall see more of ourselves and more shows this week as the season ramps up. Take care, everyone. See you later.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.